All right. Hello, hello. It is time to start the show. Hope everyone's been having a great week. My name is Alan. I am one of your co hosts here on Heavy Metallurgy, coming to you live on a Friday night, as we tend to do every Friday night. I'm here with the best co host in the business, Mr. Marty over there. How you doing, Marty?
Not bad for an old fat guy. Good to see everybody. Thanks for joining us. Another
That
busy
makes two
week.
of us.
Yeah, another busy week. Just a couple things I want to say real quick before we introduce our guest, which hopefully you all know who this is. Um, Glorious Dead started tracking our third album called Maggot Age last Friday at AV Studios in Traverse City, Michigan, and 9 songs. The foundation is recorded. We're gonna be plugging away at it here throughout next month, and hopefully have something for you guys to check out soon. Also, Binary Recordings news for today was supposed to be release date for the Autumn Eternal vinyl and CD. The CDs, there's a delay at the plant in Europe, and the records have been shipped, but they're not here yet. So I didn't announce anything. If you pre-ordered it, sorry, it's a wait. I'm so frustrated with release dates. They don't mean crap anymore for us, it seems like lately. But anyway, having said all that and got that all out of the way, the guy to south of my heaven here is hasn't been around in a while. He's been lost in the Great White North.
It's been a
Darcy
minute.
from Six Strings, Nine Wives. Good to see you. He's back. How have you been, Darcy?
Good, thanks. And yeah, just a busy summer, shit like that. But I've been definitely keeping tabs on you guys and been waiting to get back on. Um, and we'll continue to do that. If you need a fill in, you need a last minute sub, I can jump in there too. And got a
Now that
lot
you're
of free.
back on the roster again, now that you know that you're
Yeah,
available, it's nice to know.
yeah, I got
Exactly.
a lot of free time on Friday nights, which works perfect for you guys because
Yep.
you're not on Monday night, right? So, yeah, good to be back and talk some metal with you guys.
Let me ask you a question, Darcy. There's been people asking us to do a glam metal show. Would you be a guy that would be able to hang in that conversation?
Yes, yeah, it's not my. You know what I would say if we were doing this show back in 1986, whatever, I'd be like, yeah, shit, yeah, but I don't. What I'm trying to say is most of my heart lies in the 80s with glam. So, but I could hang in that conversation. I could probably chip in with, a lot of the usual suspects as far as glam goes. But I don't branch out too much outside your more well-known bands. But there's a few I could surprise you with.
Okay, good to know. Good to put a pin in that. Pin in that. We'll circle back around to that here soon, hopefully.
But we'd
Um,
probably have to bring on a support person like
it's gonna
Jurgen.
have to be
Somebody,
because
yeah,
it's not me. It's
yeah.
not
We got to
me.
bring. It's not you either, eh? Yeah.
No,
Well, and Alan can hang a little bit too. I know
I
that.
can hang a little bit, but not. It's all everything I have is common knowledge. It's not anything.
Yeah.
No deep dive in here for sure.
There are
Are
at
you getting?
least 10 Danger albums, so I'm covered for my playlist.
Right.
Why are you getting some requests for stuff like that?
Yeah, there's been some people requesting to see a glam episode, which
It would be fun.
it'd be
Just,
fun.
yeah, kind of an easygoing one.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, cool. Darcy actually came up with a topic for tonight. What were you thinking with this one, Darcy?
Well, it goes back to obviously there's big fours all around the world, things like that. The original North American big four, the German big four. There's the German big four of power metal, and I thought, screw that. Let's go for our Big Ten. But my thought was too is I wanted to kind of see where you guys were at too. As we were talking about in the green room, I know a few of your key favorite bands, each of you guys, but I'll be surprised tonight. I don't know. I would say my list, if you know my channel, will be somewhat predictable, but that's why we threw a little twist on this where we would, count down our top 10. We would build our own top 10 of thrash, 10 through to 1, and then kind of throw a little something extra in there. Maybe an album that you don't know or I want you to know about, or in the case of a little bit of my strategy tonight, I'm going to hold up a couple albums that I still struggle with, and maybe ask the audience and you guys, where are you at with those albums too? So, and as you guys know, some things get better with over time, and there's a couple here that actually got worse. That type of thing too. So that's kind of where I was thinking with this one. And everybody loves thrash. I mean, it's not going to be shock. You're not going to run out and buy. Well, maybe you will, but it should be stuff that the audience, kind of knows, right?
Yeah, I think so. Alan, what were your thoughts going into this? We did bands, right? Not albums, because I picked bands. I didn't pick albums. I've got albums to show, but
Right.
I didn't. Okay.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
want to make
top
sure I
10.
had the right concept here. I would be scrambling to
you got
make
her,
another
you got
list. Okay.
No, you
Yeah,
got
no,
her.
the idea was, instead of just the big four of thrash, Darcy suggested we expand it to our personal top 10, our big 10 of thrash, which seemed like, a fun concept. Yeah, thrash is a genre that folks in our age bracket, we grew up with that. So a lot of the bands, we're going to have personal favorites. There are some that, are sort of, obvious, huge influences and stuff. So, but there's always going to be, how do you rank them? I had never sat down and really tried to rank out, by band. I usually think of it more by album. So, it was kind of cool to think like, which bands really are the ones I like the most? Which ones don't quite make the cut? So, I found it pretty fun. And Ian, thank you very, very much. Really appreciate it. Ian is very, very generous to throw us some money pretty much almost every single week, and we really do appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
He's a good guy. He watches my channel. Love when he comments, and and sorry, Marty, just jump in for I kind of look at an episode like this as I don't know, kind of like an episode of Survivor. It's like, what are you going to take away from me until I'm just left with one? That's how sometimes I approach what I like the best, is like, okay, you're going to take this band away from me, but I still have 9 through 1, and then they just start knocking off. And that's kind of the order I put them in, is like, what's the one band I would want to be left with at the end type of deal. So
for me, I mean, I'm looking at this list. I was thinking about it all week long, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go into this list like I'm a teenager, like I am, because that's where I cut my teeth on this stuff. Total thrash kid growing up. And just as the week has gone on, and tonight pulling the trigger and finalizing the list, it's hard to limit it to 10. It just is. There's stuff here that it just should have been higher that aren't, and then there's things that are higher that should I put it this high? I'm pretty happy with my number one, but the rest of it, it's like it could change next week. I don't know. It's just, I'm not overly thrilled with the way my list sets, and there's some bands that aren't even on the list. It's like, God damn it. It's hard. It's hard when you start having to whittle down to these exercises, and and
these kind of lists, again, they are subjective. They are personal lists, and like you said, they can change over time. I think mine is pretty solid. I mean, I could see a few things maybe shifting up and down a position here or there, but I don't think I would have any major changes. Like, I don't think my anyone in my top 5 is suddenly going to fall off the list a year or even 5 years from now. So I think I got my list relatively stable. Pretty happy with it. There's some that are quite obvious. There's one or two that may be surprising, but that's part of the fun of it. As I thought about it, I was like, I think this band really does edge out some of the other ones I'm considering. But it did take a while to hash out. But again, even though they can change, I think it's a fun exercise. It does make you sit down and focus on what does really make these bands special, and what kind of things do irritate me about some of these bands that maybe, leave them on the outside looking in, and kind of having to actually articulate that at least to yourself when you put the list together.
Hey, thanks for the super chat, Lee. Appreciate you. Warhammer 666. Everybody go check out
Thanks, Lee.
his new album, Warhammer 666. Check it out on Bandcamp. Very cool black metal stuff. Raw, acidic, blasting, killer.
And Malaya Rage has more than one good album, by the way. Maybe it's 2.
Whichever has a skeleton Indian chief on it is the one that we did. I don't know if that might
Kill
be
to Survive.
Yeah, Kill to Survive. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's a fun album. Haven't heard it in forever, but it's a fun one.
The other thing too is, like you said, starts conversations because I'm not just saying this, but you guys probably have the number one chat that like. I'll just sit there, late at night if it's later, and just read your chat and just see all the conversation, all the returning people, and that's the fun part about it. If you have a chat or a comment section that you just ignore, I don't know what's the point, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
No,
and that's
dude,
the
we've
fun
got.
part.
I'm not gonna deny we have a killer community, and for those of you that would like to have the conversation all week long, go check out our Discord server. It is these fine folks all day, every day, chatting about metal. So it's definitely link in the description. Check it out. Check it out. Hate to put a plug there, but yeah, if you like the chat, you're gonna like the Discord.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I agree 100%, Darcy. I mean, having
Yeah.
folks that, are knowledgeable, are fun to chat with, can help us, fact check things. And
Yep.
also, but, they can joke and goof around about things, but everyone's cool about it at the end of the day, too. Nobody's, getting all, butt hurt or, rage quitting or, trying to, make a big deal out of stuff. We're here to have fun and talk about music we like, not, be dicks about it. So yes, a big thank you to everybody who participates in our chat. You guys really do make the show a lot better.
Yeah, 100%. Right. Yeah. So how many of you guys have Wrathchild America on your list?
Oh, come on, Marty. You're going to have me climbing the walls if that's how this is going tonight.
Yep. Yeah. Well, let's get started. Why don't we, hey, Misanthropy, thank you so much for the super chat.
Oh,
are we doing one honorable mention, or what are we doing?
You can do as many honorable mentions as you want.
Well, let me see
want
here. Well, I just did a video on the Canadian Big Four, and I know some of that shit's debatable. What past into the third Voivod album, what's happening there, things like that. I'm from Canada, so basically my list is not going to have a lot of Canadian thrash on. I kind of keep that. It's weird. I'm weird with that. So, but honorable mentions for sure. For me, Annihilator is, I know it's a mixed bag with those guys, but I love Jeff Waters. Of course, I'm a big fan of Never Neverland, Alice in Hell, and a lot more. So if you want to check out that video, go for it. And I think the one that just slipped through in this video that I want to give an honorable mention is, and as they said, we're going to try to hold up our favorite album from each of these to represent, and then something else. But this is still my favorite Death Angel album, and these guys didn't make my list. Didn't make my Big 10. Act 3 is still an album that I play realistically once a year type of thing still.
I like that album. I listened to it quite a bit when it came out.
And the one thing that I've learned with these guys is the approach they're taking these days is Mark is really pushing those vocals. He's really yelling. It is a bit of a turnoff to me. I'm not saying it's shit, but because the music's great, it's always great. But if they could just dial it back, I don't know if you guys, anybody out there has heard an album like The Art of Dying, their reunion album from 2004. I wish they would get back to more like that. I wouldn't expect them to go this far back, but just if they could kind of blend what they did and what they're doing and just calm those vocals down a little bit. But anyways, there is my only honorable mention, and Annihilator. So.
All right. I have many more honorable mentions. Alan, oops.
Well, I have a shitload, but we'll be here all night.
Me and Alan are fighting over the chat. Here we go.
Hey, thank you very much, Craig.
Thanks, Craig. Good to see you, man. I'm going to give you a call this weekend, just so you know. It'll be late. Talk to you later, though.
Indeed.
Okay, sorry. No, go ahead.
Oh, no, it's all good. Let's see. For honorable mentions, I only picked one. It's the band that came closest to making the top 10, but didn't quite make the cut at the end of the list. And that band is Razor.
Hold on.
Nice.
Alan, 1 second. We got somebody here.
Oops.
Whoops.
We got someone who wants to give away a Formorian Productions package to the highest super chatter. I don't know how she wants to swing this, but I'll leave this up on here and let the chat do its thing. Yeah, good way to check out that new Warhammer 666 CD, everybody. So, okay, Alan, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just want to get this up before I got lost in the
Oh yeah,
chat here.
no, that's good. Yeah, definitely make sure folks know about that so they can check it out. But yeah, Razor is my honorable mention. I thought they might eke into the top 10. Didn't quite. There are some Razor albums I really like. The catalog is kind of hit or miss, though, overall. You know, you have some great albums. You have a couple that are average, and you have a couple that I just don't really care for. So, again, when thinking through the whole catalog, it's just like, well, yeah, Violent Restitution's great. Evil Invaders is great. But I can't just focus on those. I've also got to remember that other things happened later, like Decibels. What do we do with
cycle
that?
of contempt. Oh man.
Yeah.
What a pile of shit.
So yeah, Razor, there are a lot of highlights. It's definitely a catalog worth exploring, but line them up against the other bands, and I feel like that was the one I had to leave off the list. So they might have come in 11th, but not quite. So, but I will give Razor an honorable mention because they did do a lot of really good, heavy, killer, very vicious thrash. Marty, you've got some honorable mentions you would like to shout out, I believe.
These guys and their conservative honorable mentions. I've got a stack. I'm just going to go through them real quick.
Sure.
I wanted to get something somewhat modern in here. And the only band that has really kicked my ass from the modern sense is been Vector. Especially this album, Outer Isolation. Absolutely amazing guitar work and songs. It's like if Voivod and Destruction got together and made an album. It's just Black Future, also really good. They're just excellent, energized, furious, inventive. They tune higher than E, which I never knew that was a thing, but I don't know. For people that care about that guitar stuff, it's just weird.
Oh, really good pick, Marty.
We're just going backwards here from 17 to 10 real quick. Possessed. They didn't meet the... I wish I could have put this a little higher, but you know what? Seven Churches, Beyond the Gates. But really the thing I listened to, I love those as well, but I was really quite taken with the Eyes of Horror EP. I always love that thing. I love the album cover. They just got a bit weirder on it. And I don't know. I don't really, they got this evil thrash metal stuff going on here, which is a perfect, really great album. Thrash metal album. Just going to put that out there. Obviously, Beyond the Gates suffered from a bad production, but still killer stuff. Hey, George, thanks a bunch for that super chat. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you very much, George.
Next up on the list.
Happy Thanksgiving, you too, George.
Right on. Yes, cheers. Anthrax. Why aren't they in your top 10? Well, they're just not. They're just not. They got edged out. Of the big four, they're probably my least favorite, but I listen to the shit out of Anthrax. Don't be kidding yourself. This album in particular, when this came out, I wore the tape out. And same with this. I just couldn't stop listening to it. My favorite Anthrax, and even their last two albums, I think are really, really exceptional in their catalog. Really, they're still putting out great stuff. They finally got the mojo back when they got Joey back. Another favorite, didn't make the top 10, Celtic Frost, Morbid Tales, Jamaica Therion. This is one of those bands. I love their early output and the EP too. But I struggle with a lot of their catalog, starting with Into the Pandemonium. There's moments on there I really like. A lot of it I think is just a waste. Vanity Nemesis, not a fan, but Monotheist, yeah, ended on a good note there.
I never would know where to put Celtic Frost. I thought about them briefly. I'm like, are they a thrash band? Doesn't feel right to call them thrash, but it doesn't feel right to call them death either.
No, it doesn't. But then it did. Then I was like, these guys are a thrash band,
Yeah. So yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I always have issues with which topics are Celtic Frost appropriate for?
Right.
No, and I like that you put Possessed in there too, because I Possessed is a thrash band to me.
Me
especially
too.
especially their latest album, which frick, it is phenomenal. Like
Yep.
that comeback album. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone just mentioned in the chat that the comeback album from Possessed
Yeah.
is also it's
Revelations of
catalog.
Oblivion. It's a deadly album.
All right, I have a couple more here. We'll move on to the big chunk. But God, I wanted to put this higher on the list too. The first two Forbidden albums, Forbidden
Two
Evil,
Thrasher pieces. Those are
Twist into
classics.
Form. The guitar work on these are just so absolutely inspired and over the top with intensity. And Russ's vocals, top notch, absolutely top notch. And even their comeback album, Omega Wave, I liked it.
Yeah.
What's the matter? Go lay down.
Yeah.
I wanted to put those higher, but I couldn't. And everybody's like, "Oh my God, why you put these guys so low?" Slayer. Another one of those bands. These two are the two for me. I love Hell Awaits too. Don't get me wrong. I love the EP, but these two here are absolutely superior thrash metal albums in my opinion. And after this, yeah, I like it, but I just don't ever reach for it anymore. I don't know what it is, but back in the day, I listened to all the time. I really wanted to put Metallica in my top 10 because this band, I think if you're an old fart and you really have to give, I always give this band a chance because of their impact. I mean, this was like the transitional band for me to getting me from heavy metal into what became thrash metal. I mean, this was the band that really connected with. I think a lot of us did. Kind of blew me away and started me down a faster, thrashier track. But yeah, sorry, that was my lengthy honorable mention. So
it's all good.
No, nothing wrong with that.
All right. Thank you everybody for hanging out with us tonight. It's cool to see everybody. Chat's filling up. Thanks for all the super chats. Y'all are too kind. Thank you so much.
Yep. I mean, folks already mentioned lots of cool bands. Somebody out there likes Intruder besides me. That's awesome to see.
Well, hold on a second. Marty's honorables are thrash mixed with something. Really? Huh.
Well, and somebody said,
I don't know if I agree with that, but okay, cool.
Show No Mercy thrash album ?
Yeah.
I had this debate in the comment section a little bit with same with the big Canadian four of thrash. Yes, I get it. Voivod's they're in their own world. I get it. It's just a category. It's just something to talk about. And like we talked about earlier, you don't want to get too bent out of shape over it. We all have, certain points of view and taste, but we're still going to show some good albums.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking
so
of,
you want me,
go with
my number 10?
Yep.
Okay. So number 10 of my Big 10, and I'm going to show you my favorite album from this band. And didn't discover this. This would be my second album I discovered from these guys because I had to backtrack one album. But here's my number 10 band, Exodus, Bonded by Blood. And this, I think I mentioned it before a few times on my channel, but this is my second favorite thrash debut of all time. I just absolutely love this album. It's too bad it's only a one-off with Paul Bailoff on vocals because, he was not a great singer, but man, did he have charisma. He could pump up a crowd. And just the guitar tone alone on this album is next level with the H Team. And it actually contains my favorite Exodus song, period, which is Metal Command. But we all know this album. It's just full of relentless riffs, off the wall vocals. It's just a great album, right down to Strike of the Beast, A Lesson in Violence, just shit that they still play. They probably still play at least 3 songs from here live to this day. So there's my coming in at number 10 of my Big 10. And then I said I would show one more thing pertaining to Exodus and kind of get your guys' point of view on the Rob Dukes era. As if you're into thrash, you know that Rob is coming back.
Is back.
I wouldn't be surprised. He is back, and they have an album recorded, ready to go. I wouldn't be shocked if you don't see an Exodus song released before Christmas, probably in the next 3 weeks. for probably a first quarter 2026 release. But here's I'm still, I'll be honest, the Dukes era took a little bit for me to get used to. Okay, you kind of had that yelly, shouty style, but the music's still great. But here's my favorite from the Dukes era. This is the Atrocity Exhibition Exhibit A. There is some killer tunes on this, which I'll start you right off with Riot Act. Children of a Worthless God, great album too. I got to see these guys open for, first it was a triple bill. It was Megadeth, Exodus, and Testament. And Exodus came out first, and it was with Dukes. I unfortunately have never got to see Exodus with Zetro on vocals. I missed him by, he just got fired from the Tempo of the Dam tour, and then they had a fill-in guy, and I got to see the fill-in guy. It was the guy from Skin Lab. But anyways, if you haven't checked out some Dukes era Exodus, check that one out. And you know, as long as they don't go too ballistic on the heavy, as Gary Holt would say, heavy as fuck, I'm interested to see what they're going to do on the next album. But there's my number 10.
I can honestly say I have never sat and listened to an entire Rob Dukes album. I don't even know. I may have seen just some live clips or maybe seen part of a video, but I really kind of stopped caring about Exodus. I really like Pleasures of the Flesh. I like Fabulous Disaster. Impact is Imminent is kind of where I started to drift from that band. I got the tape when it came out and I was underwhelmed. I don't know what it was. Something about it. Force of Habit. I didn't care for that either. Again, I should maybe circle around and check them out again, but haven't got there yet. They'll turn up at some point. I used to have them and got rid of them, so I don't know. But the Dukes era, I've never checked out.
If you want the last good Zetro, get Tempo of the Damned. That is a absolutely great album. But after that,
I think I have Blood In, Blood Out. I do have that one. That's pretty good.
It's, well, Tempo of the Damned's a lot better, so check it out if you want to put on your list.
Right on.
Yeah, I don't know much of the Dukes era. I've heard maybe one or two of them, and they were okay. I didn't like them enough that I wanted to keep digging into it, so I just haven't. So I'll have to take a pass on that one. I don't know enough of it to pick a favorite.
All right, you're up, Alan.
All righty then. Let's see. My number 10 has the shortest discography of any band that ended up on my list. And this is another one that you can call thrash, you can call speed metal, some combination thereof, but I'm putting them on the list. So we're going with number 10 as Holy Terror. They only made the 2 albums, but they are both incredible albums. And yeah, when I was comparing them to other bands, at first I figured probably we'll leave these off, but it's just like catalog this good, and again, they're thrash adjacent enough that I decided they would make it in, though, at number 10. There's only 2 albums to show, so I guess I'll show them both. Yeah, most people gravitate toward Mind Wars, and I get that. It's an incredibly strong album. However, and the way I kind of did these was I'll show one that I think is like kind of one of their landmark albums, and then also one that's just more of a personal favorite maybe. And the debut's always been my favorite of the 2. Just a little more on the melodic side, a little more memorable. I've had it for a lot longer, so I readily admit it's just a personal bias and familiarity. But 2 pretty much I'm not going to say perfect, but near perfect albums, and they didn't stick around long enough to mess it up. The only reason I've got them at number 10 rather than higher up the list is that it is only 2 albums. Everything else on the list, I think the next shortest discography has at least 4 albums in it, and most of them are longer than that. Usually when I'm doing like, best bands, favorite bands, top band things, I do want to see like a lot of consistency over time, having a really good long run of it, not just bands that were one and done or something like that. But Holy Terror was kind of special enough and excellent enough that I figured they deserved a spot, and so they got one. Holy Terror at number 10 for me.
Ryan
Good
must
one.
be super high if he's calling me. He's calling you Marty in the chat. Oh my God! Come on, pull yourself together, Ryan. Heavy metallurgy night. Come on. All right. This list. I wish this could have been higher, but number 10, they had to be on the list. Sadus. Especially these two albums, Chemical Exposure, the demos before it, and Swallowed in Black. I even really enjoyed the shit out of A Vision of Misery and Elements of Anger. But these guys are on for their absolute ferocity and innovative bass playing. To the fact that you're playing something so fast as on the lead-off track on here, Certain Death. You can hear that bass, that Rickenbacker tone cutting through there, where it's just absolutely blood boiling. I love it. It just gets me so fired up. And this is one of those bands I kind of wish they lived in this realm a little bit longer.
Yeah.
They kind of did here. It's still here, but the production's a little cleaner. Then they get really kind of proggy as they go, but it's still really cool, really technical and proggy. I still really like it. And they've always been a very unique item in the thrash metal scene. And I think that is kind of impeded their popularity, to be honest, especially, you know, Steve moving on to be in Death and Testament and Iced Earth and all the other stuff he's done over the years. You think that there'd be more people swinging back to Sadus with, you know, curiosity and some fondness, but I don't know if that trickle down effect ever really happened. You know, Sadus, they're just always kind of overlooked, it seems like to me, but maybe that's just wrong opinion to have. But
no, I think you're right. It's a good pick. Do you think it was like a label issue that they just never quite
they're
had
on
the
RC,
distribution?
they were on the same shit everybody else was on, you know?
Yeah.
Did they just not? Yeah, they didn't seem to get as much of a push, so I'm not sure.
So there we go. Number 10. Go ahead.
Did you pick up their last album, that comeback album?
I liked it. Hey,
Yeah,
thanks,
it
Sunday
was
morning sessions. Appreciate you. Holy crap. Thanks.
Oh, yeah. Nice number.
Yeah. Yeah. What did you guys think of the new Sadus? I liked it. I thought they were trying to go back to the old spirit, you know?
I initially liked it, but I kind of dropped off it after
I haven't
a while,
gone back to it. I know.
Yeah,
I'm kind of the same.
Haven't picked it up.
Very much the same. I played it once or twice. I'm like, this is okay. I put it on the shelf. I guess it's still on the shelf. I haven't even thought about it for a while. So yeah, it had no staying power in the playlist. But yeah, Sadus, good pick. I need to explore more of their catalog. It's a band I'm not very familiar with. I've heard a couple of the albums, but I didn't know enough of them to consider them for top 10 tonight.
All right. Number 9.
I got to throw a little bit of a curveball because you know what? I should have been better prepared for those honorable mentions because I just thought of something. Because Alan's Holy Terror. I have a kind of not a holy terror, but I got to show that. I got to show these two albums.
Oh yeah.
Sabbath, History of a Time to Come, and Dreamweaver.
Oh, so good. Classics.
Absolute thrasher piece. I absolutely love these albums. And yeah, I should have. Sorry about that not throwing that in there earlier. But and Martin Welkire's vocals and lyrics and delivery, just next level. But on to my number 9, and this one's a little bit lower than maybe some people would have them, but I kind of weighed some of these bands' full catalog and saying, okay, you know, did they veer off the thrash trail? And yeah, definitely some of them did. And this is one of them, but this is still my, here's my number 9, still to this day, my favorite Metallica album, Ride the Lightning. And I've told this story a number of times. When I first heard Fight Fire with Fire, I thought that was the heaviest shit that I ever listened to in my life until I, started listening to a little more extreme, like Slayer, stuff like that. But yeah, that's the one that hooked me, and I was fortunate enough to buy Master of Puppets as a new release, which would be very close behind this, but I don't need to talk about songs and stuff like this, but this was, like Marty mentioned in his honorable mentions, As a teenager, man, this was one of those bands that got me ready for a lot, and you got to give them credit for doing what they did at the time.
Hugely important band.
And you know, am I just a first four album guy? No, I would say, you know, it goes a little past that, but you know, not a lot past that. But and the other album I'm going to show you today is one that I, at the time, when did this come out? 2008. I was excited for, but I soon dropped off. I just don't like this album. I don't hate it.
I like it.
Uh,
It's long,
I
but I like it.
I don't think Rick Rubin did a lot for these guys. He probably just sat on the couch and listened. And
That's all he ever does, isn't it?
you know, he didn't do what he did with like a Slayer, but this one I still struggle with. There's some great stuff on here, but I would say even the instrumental might be my favorite. Suicide and Redemption is excellent instrumental. But there's some good tracks on here, like Broken, Beaten, and Scarred, The Day That Never Comes. But it's just never, it's kind of, like I said, it's one that I've kind of struggled with throughout the years. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. It's kind of somewhere in the middle for Metallica, trying to kind of right the ship after Saint Anger is what I think they were trying to accomplish. But
Yeah, I think you're right.
never quite got there for me. But that's the kind of the one I'll show to support my other one. But that's my number 9 band, Metallica.
Simon's comment is actually a very interesting comment. There's a solid 8 out of 10 album if you mix Death Magnetic and Hardwired's best tracks. That's a really good point.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah, because I like exactly half of Hardwired. So yeah, we're off to a good start to making that happen.
All right. Alan.
All right, let's see. Coming in at number 9. This band I was really late to the party on. I only started listening to their stuff maybe about 5 years ago. It's a band I had never crossed my path early on. And that band is Creator. I saw the records in the store as a kid, but just did not know anything about them. Nobody at school ever checked them out. I never heard them on college radio. Never saw them in the local indie store. So, just passed on for a long time. I've checked out their entire catalog at this point, and they've got a ton of really good albums. There are of course different eras. There is a weak period that people vary on, but they had a tough go of it through the 90s, like many thrash bands did. The newer stuff people are divided on. I don't mind it.
It's good.
It is good, but I do understand why some people don't get into it. It does lean a lot into melodic death metal, which maybe isn't what people are wanting to hear from Creator. That newest music video, I get what they're doing, but it is funny to see that much ballet dancing in a Creator video. It just is. Nevertheless, excellent band with a good back catalog and pretty consistently good albums throughout. There are some highs and lows, but overall, the catalog is really strong. The ones I picked to represent it, Pleasure to Kill, has been absolutely my favorite. And this was an album. It took a few spins to click, but when it did, I really got him like, this is exactly what I want from a band like this. This is German thrash par excellence. It's a little rough around the edges, and that's fine. It's extremely aggressive. It hits all the right notes, ticks all the right boxes. The other one I picked for kind of more of a personal favorite with Creator is actually working backwards to Endless Pain. And if this looks weird, it's a weird reissue edition with like a hard cover thing. A lot of folks aren't as keen on this one, and I get it. Yes, it's very primitive.
Still killer. It's still killer.
But it is still killer. Exactly. You're exactly, Marty. And I like that. Again, I like my German thrash. I don't want it to be super clean. I'm going to almost always gravitate towards the albums that have those rougher edges still intact with a lot of the bands. So I figured I would give this one a little bit of shout out and more love because it doesn't always get it, and I think it deserves it. Creator.
What's the?
Sorry,
Sorry,
go ahead, Darcy.
I was going to ask you, what's the last regular? Is there a bonus tracks on that one? What's the last regular track on there?
Let's see what we've got here. This one, yeah, there's.
It is so killer. It's like a different vibe too. What the hell is that song
You've
called?
got the Blitzkrieg demo is on here as bonus tracks. The End of the World demo is on here as bonus tracks also.
So last regular track.
Last regular track, you've got Dying Victims is number 10 before you get into the labeled bonus tracks.
I think that's it. Dying Victims, but that's teenagers making a thrash album, and it's. I mean, I think Millie was 16 at the time.
Crazy. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Just
Cool.
showing
Yeah.
pages in here while we talk about it. But yeah,
Oh.
a very fun album that, yeah, the things that people complain about on this album are usually the things I like about the album. So,
Well, and that's why I wanted to do this list with you guys, because I am actually pleasantly surprised that made your list, Alan.
it definitely did. And again, Creator,
Or the creator did.
Maybe in the future they could eke their way higher on the list. I think the reason they're at number 9, kind of towards the bottom, I have really only been listening to Creator for 5 years or so. So
yeah,
a lot of these other bands, they just have a much longer legacy with me. So that's going to get them extra points and push them higher up. But
for sure,
I think it does highlight the fact that sometimes when we discover bands later in life, they don't always click with us very well. Creator's a good exception to that. Even though I found them really late, I still have really enjoyed them, and I've picked up not all their catalog, but I've picked up a good chunk of it. There's only one more that I'm really looking to pick up. And I'll find it sooner or later.
Endorama.
I got it in one, Marty.
I know Darcy's biting his lip right now. I like that record.
Oh man, we're not getting into that.
I will not hoard any copies of Endorama, so Darcy can have them. All right, Marty, what's his number 9 on your list?
All right, well, Holy Terror made it one step higher for me. Mind Wars, I would have loved to have put this even higher. The Terran Submission is also amazing. This is, with Alan's logic, bands with longer catalogs may have lived a little higher on his list, but I am really glad that this band stopped at 2 albums, because after an album like this, where do you go? I don't know where they go. They're up in Seattle up there, and the things start, and then
slow down and get groovy.
They get groovy. Like Kurt Kilfeld, he left and joined Zeke, I think. He was in Zeke for a while, which is just kind of hard driving rock and roll type stuff. And I would have been utterly gutted if the next Holy Terror album was groovy, or because it just wouldn't have been right. But there's enough complexity in both of these albums. Mind Wars being my favorite of the 2. This album, I've listened to it a million times, and I just cannot get sick of it. It doesn't happen. The songs are so interesting. They're so ferocious. And Keith Dane is such an amazingly great singer. The way he just barked those words out in a melodious fashion is impressive. And, rest in peace, Keith Dean. But I don't know. This band is something special. They were a complete special force in U.S. thrash metal for sure. And I don't know how much recognition they got. They did some touring and stuff. I don't know if they toured extensively. I know Drugs kind of got a hold of them there for a while, but you listen to this, man, she sounds like it was they were mainlining speed. This stuff is so fast and complex, and they were out to prove something, and they did. Mind Wars is an absolute monumental U.S. thrash metal release, and they're my number 9.
Okay, Marty, I'm drawing a blank. Where are they from?
Seattle.
Okay.
He started out in Agent Steel. He's on the Kurt Kilfeld is on the first Unstoppable Force Agent Steel album. Yeah.
I have Mind Wars. I don't have the other one. Terran Submission.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But
Killer.
I think a lot of the UK guys used to talk a lot. I would have almost thought they would have came from the UK, because they were. A lot of the UK channels were pumping up Holy Terror too.
Yeah.
They've got good taste over there. What can we say?
Well, they, for the most part, we'll give them some credit.
Yeah.
All right, number 8.
Number 8.
Okay, so last time I alluded to, a song like Fight Fire with Fire, and then I started discovering some heavier stuff. And when I got to this band, this was the most extreme. Almost had the, feeling that, oh, I can't let my parents overhear this too loud. This is just crazy shit. But Slayer is my number 8
Okay.
on my Big 10, leading our way to number 1. And there's my favorite album, Rain in Blood, still is. I'm kind of a first 6 Slayer guy. I really love everything right to Divine Intervention.
Mm-hmm.
But those first, this, and then to follow it up and just kind of hit the brakes on South of Heaven, slowing things down. I thought that was a genius move too, that they could do both. And then you get the next album that has something of everything of what they've done. And I'm with you on Show No Mercy too. There's a lot of new wave of British heavy metal leanings in that songwriting, and then they really find their Slayer part of their sound in Hell Awaits, and then not looking back after that. But that's my number 8 band, and my favorite album. And this one, I'll just, if my friend is watching this, I'm gonna throw him under the bus a little bit, because he really loves this album, and he told me, you got to listen to it again. But man, I can't get into it. And that is Diablos in Musica.
Yeah.
It's not you, Darcy.
It isn't
It's
you, Darcy.
just, well, and you know what? I'll give it this much. It's better than it used to be, but that's not really saying a lot for me. Death's Head, Stain of Mind, that might be the best on here for me, but I find it almost puts me in a bad mood listening to this. It's like, just turn it off already. Fuck, turn it off, because it's actually getting me antsy. But I don't know. So you guys are on the same page with this one?
Yeah.
I got no.
I've never
problem.
owned it. I don't care.
Oh, you never owned it? Okay.
No.
Yeah,
I've heard
like
it, never owned it.
I'm a bit of a completist on a lot of bands, but some things I'm starting to realize that, I might have to let them go. Like, the mid part of the Queensryche catalog. Fuck off. You don't need it. You know what I mean? So this, you never know about this one. So that's there you go. Slayer number 8.
I stopped after Divine Intervention. A good album, but I have not listened to Divine Intervention since the year it came out. Other than our Slayer ranking, I did listen to it then. But
so did that exact album stop you, or did you start getting into? You were in a shitload of death metal by then too,
yeah,
right?
my tastes were changing a bit. I still liked it, but I just didn't love Divine Intervention. I thought it was good. Yeah, and after that, the stuff I would hear, I'm just like, ooh, yeah, they're just kind of, they had a sound and style that they just didn't. You want bands to continue in that sound, but they did it, and it just didn't have a lot of excitement in it anymore. You know what I mean? Especially when you've got the first half of their catalog so good. Afterwards, it just kind of lost this. It wasn't so special to me anymore.
So in the case of, like, you're damned if you don't change it up, and you're damned if you do change it up, right?
It's a tough line to walk. It really is.
Yeah.
It's you're never going to be as good as you were. I think you're most passionate and on fire when you're young and hungry. Like Metallica trying to write, with Death Magnetic, trying to tap into their younger, youthful, sound.
Yeah.
They're all of them put together are bazillionaires. They've got all the money they need. Their struggles are different now than they were when they were younger. If they struggle at all, financially, they're not struggling.
No.
So, you're coming at it as a mature, older person. It's just hard to tap back into that youthful fire. It just is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep, agreed.
All right, Alan, number 8.
Number 8. All right. Number 8 on my list ended up being Destruction.
Oh, there you go.
Yep. I've always liked them a little more than the other German thrash bands. This has always been my favorite out of the big four. But again, also one that I've got more history with. First 2 albums are both fantastic. And for a while, that was about where I stopped just because I never came across much of their stuff. Yeah, I picked Infernal Overkill as the first one I would show because, again, I think it's one of the signature albums. When we did our thrash debut album, Battle Royal, this was the one that came out on top. And I don't think too many people were surprised by it either. Fantastic album. Destruction also, of course, had that rough patch in the 90s. One thing that I think helps Destruction a little bit there is they didn't release a lot during the 90s. So your kind of, embarrassing period is basically limited to a couple of EPs and one album, the least successful Human Cannibal. And that album it's listenable as long as you pretend it's not Destruction you're listening to. If you wanted to hear just mid-90s metal done competently, you can listen to it. And it's not an absolute disaster. It's just not a good Destruction album. But of course, they righted ship and got back on track. The second one I picked to show is not their comeback album, but the second of the comeback era albums.
I was going to recommend that one anyway. That's a great album.
Yeah,
this is a fantastic album.
I like the comeback too. I thought that was good too.
It is, yeah. The comeback album to me feels like really good. You've got everything right back on track. You're proving this could work. And on this album, they really open it up and let it roar. So yeah, I've always got this one a little higher than the comeback album. I would actually say this is one of the better thrash albums of the 21st century. The Antichrist, they just do everything right on this one.
Yeah,
albums
what is that?
come? Oh, sorry.
2001. 2001.
I believe it's 2001. Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so it's early in the century, but not a whole lot of thrash albums have come out that I think would be on the same tier as it in the past 25 years. After this, Destruction has a pretty solid catalog. It's pretty consistent. Yeah. If anything, it gets probably a little too consistent for its own good, which again goes back to Darcy's point a minute ago. If they change too much and give us the least successful Human Cannibal, we don't like it. But when they just kind of start getting into that cookie cutter mode, album after album, we tend to get a little bit bored sometimes, and the albums don't stand out or stick as much. But I do think their catalog has been really solid over the past 25 years. Not many things to complain about. Even the album that came out earlier this year, it's not bad. Again, it's just nothing particularly special. You've heard Destruction do all those things before. They're still doing them. They're still doing them pretty well.
Yeah.
But again, to Marty's point as well, they're not going to do it as well as they did when they were 40 years younger and still had a huge chip on their shoulder with something to prove. In this day and age, they just can't have that exact same energy. They come reasonably close. I definitely give them credit for that. They still manage to come across as pretty angry and pissed off and misanthropic and touching on things that irk them. About as well as any legacy thrash band is these days. So yeah, kudos to Destruction. Well, the only reason they're at 8 rather than a bit higher is, again, I think you've got a long period of just make another solid album, but after Antichrist, you got to wait a while before there's another one that I think kind of stands out a little bit from the crowd.
Yeah, and from inception till that album, they had an ace up their sleeve, which you guys are a big Mike Siffringer fan, and he was hard to replace. Like Mike definitely had that Destruction sound and
wild riffing style. I love it.
I do like their newer albums, but they're now a 4-piece, so you got 2 guys trying to make up what Mike used to do. But Mike kind of hit a wall after that, and they were making some samey albums. And but yeah, I know you guys are both fans of Mike, so
absolutely. I see the Accused mentioned in the chat. Accused rule. They were so good. All right. I'm up next with my number 8.
Your number 8.
yeah, they were off the list, and they're on the list, and they have to be on the list. Testament, man, when when I got my mitts on this album, I mean, still, it's funny. I don't touch it for a while, and then I throw it on. This album is so good. It's just an absolutely perfect thrash record. And you know what? Moving forward, their records are really good. I've kind of stuck with them throughout the years, and though I haven't really warmed up to the new album yet. I've tried. That's all I'm just gonna say. I've tried. But this band, they just took the they added a little bit more sophistication, I think, to the Bay Area sound. Not that the Bay Area sound was bad, don't get me wrong, but this album is just so freaking good. And then they really capitalize on their sound early on, and they just move forward within that sound. I think that's what kind of bugs me about the new record. I mean, the first song on that record it doesn't sound like Testament. You know, the blast beats, the energy of it's really cool. The ballad's too early in the song. I mean, I don't know. I have some complaints, and I listen to it. I don't hate it, but I just keep going back. I'm just not warming up to it, but I'll give it another chance here eventually. But Testament are on my list. My kid recently just picked up. We went downstate. He got Practice What You Preach on CD for $9. Driving home, listening to it, and I still love that record. It's a great record. Really super clean production. It sounds like a major label production, and the songs are good. It sounds like Testament. I love that mechanical, clanky bass sound up the front of Christensen. Was that his name? Christensen?
Yeah. Greg Christensen.
Christensen. I couldn't remember his first name. I remembered his last name, but great band. Great U.S. thrash. I think if you're thinking about U.S. thrash, I think Testament should come to mind pretty quickly, because they're kind of like the if you look them up, American thrash in the dictionary, you're going to see a picture of Chuck Billy. I don't know.
Yeah, can't argue with that one.
All right, Darcy. Number 7.
Number 7, and this would have been the second album that I bought this one brand new, but I'll get to that in a second. But my number 7, Anthrax, and there's my
great album.
I'm just holding it sideways. I didn't take the cover up, but anyways, it's not like anybody doesn't know this album. But like Marty had this one in his honorable mentions, but he said, I wore that shit out. I did the same thing. My first Anthrax Among the Living was a cassette tape, and I had to buy a second one. You know, when that little tab starts falling off and you got your little clippers and trying to glue that son of a bitch back on. Anyways, I wore out a couple of copies of Among the Living. I also, as a younger guy, was a bit of a Stephen King fan. So I always liked those Stephen King references and songs pertaining to, like, whether it's The Stand or, whatever. But like I said, like Marty said, I wore this one out. And then my second one, did I not grab it? Here. The second one I was going to show. There we go.
Right on, Jurgen, right on.
What did he say?
He said the New Testament sucks ass. I don't need Testa Borgir or Cradle of Ment. Screw that.
Well, at least he loved the new Coroner album, which I am happy he does, because that is a great album.
Right here. Sitting right here.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll see that one on some people's lists at the end of the year. But anyways, the other Anthrax that I was going to show is, I'm also a big Armored Saint fan, and I wanted to show this album. We know John Bush came in, but I'm going to tell you what, this is the only great album that John Bush did with Anthrax. Okay, big changes. I mean great. There's some good stuff on Stomp. There's not much on Volume 8, and there's not much at all on Volume 8. It's one of those albums that it goes in the Diablos Musica pile type of thing. But yeah, I love this, and when I first heard Only, I'm like, shit, that is a crushingly heavy song. And at the time after this, I was kind of bummed out when Dan Spitz left the band, because I don't know how much of a contributor he was back then. I didn't know Dick All, but I always felt like, that's the five guys I got to grow up with these albums like State of Euphoria, Among the Living, Spreading the Disease. So I was kind of bummed out. And when Stomp came out, I was actually a little disappointed with that album. And kind of, and the wheels fell off a bit, lost their label or their contract with Elektra. But I don't know. Do we, Anthrax fans, is this on your list, or what do you think of this one? But there is my number 7 band, Anthrax.
I struggle with John Bush. I think John Bush
you
is a good.
struggle with Armored Saint. Yeah.
I think John Bush is a great singer that hasn't found the right band for his voice yet. No, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll spoil it. Anthrax did not make my list, and they have some albums I love. But the catalog overall, there's a lot of Anthrax albums I do not care about. We did the discography with Philip from Chromium Dioxide, and there was a long stretch of 90s and well into the 2000s where it's just like, yep, that's an Anthrax album. I have listened to it. Please don't make me listen to it again. So yeah, they didn't have quite enough hits along the way to make my top 10. They have some classic albums for sure. I wouldn't take anything away from them. But as an entire discography, there's too much filler for me.
All right, Alan.
All right, we're on number 7. And number 7, well, Darcy, ask and ye shall receive. More Coroner. Will indeed be discussed more. Pretty easy that they were going to make it into the top 10 somewhere. They ended up at number 7, I think, because, again, kind of a short catalog. We're up to what now? With the new album, we finally have 6, but that just came out. So basically, we've had 5. And in a way, we've had 4 because Grin is not the worst album in creation, but it's not great. So you're kind of limited to the first 4 albums. You've got a great 4-album run. It's spectacular, but that's all. At the end, it's like, okay, then you've got a couple albums, one that I don't care for, and one that's a little too new to weigh in on. But Tommy T. Barron, one of the best hotshot guitarists of all time. Always underrated. People will say like, "Oh yeah, he's great," but if you ask people to name great guitarists, you don't hear his name come out. And you kind of have to prod them, remind them a little bit, and then they kind of gush about Tommy. But yeah, he's absolutely brilliant, especially throughout the early Coroner stuff. For the first album, I picked Punishment for Decadence. I think this is one that people, kind of really identify with the most in the Coroner catalog. And I want to ask you guys, this cover or the original cover? What do you think? Do you have a big preference?
Well, that's the original European cover.
Yeah, but most people will know it as like the Reaper,
the skeleton with the Reaper of the violin. I don't know. I'd probably go with the Reaper one myself.
Yeah, that's the one I always had. When I was younger, I always had the Reaper one. When I ended up picking up on CD, this was just the CD copy I happened to pick up. I do like the aesthetic they did with the packaging.
Cool, classy.
So I do like having this version for that reason. But okay, I wasn't sure if it was one that people had a strong reaction to on the cover.
I'd like, obviously, the Reaper playing the bones is what I always had and associate that album with, but I always wanted an original of the European with that cover because it's classy in a different way. I think it's just cool.
Yep, works well. The second corner I picked to show off is No More Color. This is one I hadn't played for a while. I revisited it a few months ago, and yeah, it is bloody fantastic. It does everything right that is on Punishment, but it reels things in a little bit. Punishment can be a little over the top at times, in a good way, but it's almost overloads you. I feel like on this one, they tightened things up just a little bit and really sound excellent start to finish. So No More Color, at this point, they had made 3 straight, just top-notch albums in a row. I like Mental Vortex. I feel like that one does start to be a little inconsistent. There's a few tracks on that one I could do without. And some of that is kind of foreshadowing what was going to happen with the Grin album after that. But yeah, the first 3 Corner albums you cannot go wrong with. Mental Vortex isn't bad. It's still at the end of it. It's getting the thumbs up. It's just kind of like, well, yeah, okay, I guess.
They're trying to simplify. Yeah.
They're simplifying. They're stripping things down a little bit. But yeah, then Grin. I revisited Grin recently. I like let's give this another chance. It's been ages. Well,
it's not good.
That happened. I gave it a chance. I'm not getting that hour of my life back. And yeah, like I said, the new one, I'm still a bit undecided where I stand on that one. There are things about it I like, but there are things I'm not enjoying about it either. So I will leave that one to discuss maybe on our end of year show after I spin it a bit more. But yeah, Corner, definitely easy top 10 pick here. Came in at number 7 for me. Marty, what came in at number 7 for you, sir?
Well, of the big 4, one did make the list, the top 10 list, and it had to be Megadeth. Metallica probably should have been there, but I was pretty blown away, and I continue to be blown away at the musicianship, the songwriting. Dave came into this with a chip on his shoulder on this thing. I hate this reissue cover. I didn't want to pull out any vinyl today because it's a pain to put back, but this record to this day, it just blows me away how good it is. It's just so damn catchy. The playing is so off the charts. The drumming sounds so good. But on these 3 albums in particular, Rust in Peace, absolute classic. Peace Cells, man, so good. I'm not a So Far So Good So What fan. I do not like that record. Couple tracks, that's about it. But Dave came in with a mission statement to crush Metallica, and really, especially on these 3 records in particular, he did so easily. Metallica, as awesome as they are and were, musicianship, the songwriting is so good. I know I can understand people having problems with it because of Dave's voice. For me, it fits perfectly for Megadeth. I couldn't imagine another person singing for Megadeth. Although I've often thought, if he wanted to keep going, have his son or someone sing like him. That's, I don't know, and just focus on playing guitar because he's such a fantastic guitar player. But I think he's doing the right thing. Sometimes people need to realize when it's time to say I'm done, like Dave Coverdale just did. Sometimes you say, hey, it was a good run. I've done this a long time. I'm fried. I can realize that now in my performances. But Megadeth, another outstanding US thrash band. They took classic heavy metal, new wave of British heavy metal, mixed it together, jacked it up on speed, and we get these amazing albums. I'm a huge Megadeth fan. He's put out some garbage, but for the most part, a lot of his albums are mostly really good. There's only a few that are really crappy, and there's some that are half crappy. But kudos to Dave. Love him or hate the guy, you cannot take away his achievements. He's put out some amazing metal over the years. So that was my number 8, 10, 9, 8. That was 7.
That was 7.
No, that was 7. Okay.
Yep.
7. Yeah.
Hell, we might be out here early tonight, boys.
No,
I don't know.
We'll slow down.
We'll
slow down.
We're good.
Nah, we're doing fine.
Well, it's already past my bedtime, so no, I'm just kidding. That's close, but we're good. Anyways, what are we on? Number 6?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And I'm sure you guys have heard me chirp about this band for the past 8 or 9 years, but here's my number 6 band and my favorite album from them. Flotsam and Jetsam.
All right.
And throughout the whole catalog, yeah, we got some proggy moments. We got some, even power metal moments. But overall, they're definitely a thrash band in my books. And I just love this album. I first discovered Flotsam knowing that Jason Newsted left the band to go to Metallica, of course. And then I started looking for their first album. I picked it up. I still have my original cassette here and behind me somewhere. And but when this one came out, not only was I impressed that they did this album, without Jason on the album. He has some songwriting credits and some really good songs on here, like I Live, You Die, and a couple other ones. But you know what? Even the cover song doesn't bother me that much anymore.
I didn't mind the cover song either. It's a good song.
It's not like Megadeth doing Cold Sweat. It's a bit better, put it that way. But this album, Eric, and if you know the vocalist Eric, Eric Knudsen, he has lost nothing. If you're into the newer albums and you hear his voice, he, as weathered as he looks and had a few too many beers type of look, his voice still sounds great. But my overall favorite Flot song is on this album. It's called N.E. Terror. But there's so many good songs on this album, and I definitely wanted to give that a shout out. And then, unfortunately, they did a lot of label jumping and right into their third album. And I actually still struggle with this album a little bit, but deep down, it's one of those mid 80s Alex Perry Ellis produced thin thrash sound.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to show this one, When the Storm Comes Down.
I need to listen to that again. I got it in a Camelot dollar bin.
Yeah. Awful album cover. They jumped over to MCA Records after they lost their deal with Elektra, which they only stayed on one album. But this one has some very thin production. It definitely could use a remaster and, maybe even sent out with some better artwork. What they probably should have did from the start is utilized Flotzilla a lot more on their album covers, like they've been doing lately, like they did on Doomsday. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I did when it initially came out, I struggled a bit with it, but deep down, man, this is just a great thrash album. It just suffers a bit on the production, but great songs like Suffer the Masses. I think that was the first single that came out back in the day. But there's my number 6 band, Flotsam and Jetsam. Just signed a new deal with Napalm Records, so you're going to see a new Flots album in the first half of 2026 for sure.
On tour with Angus McSix.
That's right. Napalm signed a band that doesn't wear capes, elf ears, body armor, spiky boots, carry swords, sing about dragons, and actually have like verses instead of just 5 choruses in a song.
They're expanding. Okay, it's taking them some time, but they're expanding.
Alan's saying all those keywords that make me horny, so we should maybe move on here to another topic.
Marty's got to start paying $1.99 a minute to keep this conversation going.
You said fake elf ears. I gotta go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. All right.
Oh, 3 seconds. He's back.
Yep.
My +3 ogre killing sword is rising. All right, enough with the dirty talk. Where are we at? Number 6. All right, yeah, Marty just talked about them, and we'll follow up. I've got Megadeth at number 6. We'll start with Rust in Peace, which I think many people would agree is the masterpiece, and rightfully so. It really is. Everything Marty said about Megadeth, yep, works pretty well for me as well. A lot of the early stuff is brilliant. I don't have the debut as high in my head as most people do. It's just not the album I came in on. For me, Peace Sells is another absolute top album.
Yeah.
Then, So Far So Good So What, we've talked about it a lot before. For me, if I play the B-side first and then flip it over and play the A-side, it works much better. Not saying it works great, but you bury the cover song later in the thing. The side 2 has some decent tracks on it, but they really do get overshadowed by some of the garbage on side 1. But yeah, you still get, two absolutely top-notch thrash albums out of the top 4, if nothing else. The only reason Megadeth didn't make my top 5 is after this point, the catalog has some real peaks and valleys in it. There are Megadeth albums I just can't get into. There are ones I think are actively bad. But there are some later ones that are actually really, really strong also. It's one of those bands, they're a little annoying because you get 1 or 2 very so-so albums and you're ready to write Megadeth off. And then the next one kind of, is like, holy shit, that one's really good. And so, all right, now I got to check out the next one too, damn it. So you can never quite quit paying attention because you never know when Dave is going to release a gem, but you also never know when he's going to release one that just does not connect at all. For album number 2, I picked one of the later ones I think is really, really good, which is Dystopia. If nothing else, even on the albums that aren't so hot, Dave always manages to have amazing guitar talent with him.
Yep.
And credit there. He never necessarily felt like he had to hog the guitar spotlight. He didn't look for just like a session guy to bury behind him. He's brought in really top-notch axe slingers over the years. This one, if I remember right, it's got Kiko from Angra. He was in Angra before this.
Yeah.
And yeah, the dude is absolutely fierce. And they sound great together. So Megadeth has got, some good ones along the way. For me, it's just one of those bands I have to kind of pick very carefully through the discography.
Yeah.
It's like, I need that one. Not that one. Not that one. Ooh, I want that one. Ooh, not touching that. So yeah, for that reason, they don't quite make the top 5. Looking at my top 5, most of the ones higher up than this have what I would say, was a better discography front to back than Megadeth did. But Megadeth has, albums that are definitely will rival any albums in the rest of my catalog. So they made it to number 6. We'll see what Dave does with the new stuff that's coming out. I liked the last album too, The Sick, the Dying, and the Dead.
I too. You sent me a copy of that, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
it's a really solid album. It's not going to knock Rust in Peace off the top of the food chain or anything, but it delivers the goods fine. And I hope the next one does too. I mean, we've talked about it backstage. Mustaine obviously has had a lot of ego issues, and
he's a bit of a dick. Yeah,
he's a bit of a dick. Yes, Darcy. But he has released a lot of good albums, and I don't wish him anything poor. I hope it seems like he's making noise that it's about time to pack it up and call it a day. And I hope he can go out on a high note.
He says he's going to tour for 3 to 5 years, though, so they're not gone for a while.
Yeah, but in terms of the recording and stuff, it seems like he understands there's a shelf life. 3 to 5 years will go by pretty fast. So,
but I agree with you on Dystopia. I mean, that's, if I remember correctly, that probably would be my album of the year for 2016. There wasn't a lot to choose from that year. I mean, you had Halloween had My God Given Right, which is not great, and then you had Book of Souls. I mean,
wait a minute. Wait. Did you listen to My God Given Right? Because it is great.
Well, we're going to talk about this later. You just put that in the parking lot, okay? And we'll
I don't get people's apathy towards that record because
you're stepping on Marty's pumpkin patch.
Really good. Yeah, my pumpkin patch.
I just wanted to see if I get them going. I got them going. So, what are we on? Marty's number 6.
We're up to Marty's number 6. Yes, we'll keep this fight pumpkin free as long as we can.
Okay,
Marty, what you got at number 6 before we get into a top 5?
I got bugs. Nuclear Assault. You have no idea how much I listened to this band. This band, they were, there was the West Coast sound. There was the East Coast sound. The East Coast sound was a little bit more hard to nail down, I think. I think the East Coast sound, Overkill, even though they're just across the bridge from each other, Overkill didn't sound like Nuclear Assault. Didn't sound like Whiplash. Didn't sound like Blessed Death. I mean, there was just... Nuclear Assault brought something a little bit. They embraced. They were kind of around during the whole New York hardcore thing. They were intermixed with all that stuff going on. So there's a little bit of especially on Game Over. There's a little bit of hardcore sound to it. Especially Game Over suffers from a really bad guitar sound, but
Yeah,
there's a charm to it. That just the way that is the way this record was supposed to sound, and I couldn't imagine it sounding any other way. But and the fact that he played this Death Dagger, I mean, God, those are, my buddy TJ loves these guitars, and I just can't wrap my head around why anybody would want that. But whatever. This is a band, to me, they got better as they went up to this point. Handle with Care, I thought, was an amazing record. Really great record. I like the sound of it, and they get a little bit more mature. Songs like Trail of Tears, When Freedom Dies. There's just Critical Mass. There's just a lot of great songs on this record. After this, I have them on cassette, and I don't frequent them very often. And I didn't have them back in the day, so I've yet to warm up to them. But the early part of Nuclear Assault, very much a part of my teenage years. I loved them. I loved their message. I loved their attitude. They just seemed to be fun. Like they were having fun doing it, and they were doing something that didn't sound like the rest of America as far as thrash goes. So yeah, definitely a band that stands out for me. Had to be on the list.
Good one.
Yep, that's fair.
And I'll be right back.
Sure thing. All right, Darcy, we're into the top five.
Jump in number 5. Okay.
We're getting serious now.
You guys both had this band as number 6. No, sorry. Marty had number 7. You had number 6. I got number 5. Megadeth. And there's my favorite album from Megadeth. And my introduction to Megadeth, Peace Sells, But Who's Buying?
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, if you're a fan of this era of the band, you know that Rest in Peace, Peace Sells are kind of neck and neck with a lot of people. But if I had to choose one, it would be this one for me. And sure, I read in the chat earlier about some cover songs, and I couldn't agree with you more on the cover songs. I kind of just leave them out or omit them, whatever. But whatever on here isn't a cover song is absolute thrash gold. When I first heard Wake Up Dead, that's what hooked me in. Even with the lack of lyrics or vocals in that song, it doesn't bring that song down in the least. It is one of the heaviest things I've ever heard at the time. That just a great song. Great lyrics on this whole album. If you pick apart a song like the Conjuring, I could sing that word for every track on here. Black Friday. And my favorite closing track of all time is on this album, My Last Words.
Great track.
Love this album to death. And the second one I'm going to show, I changed my mind. Originally I was going to show you a not so good Megadeth album and just get an opinion, but you guys are talking about this and you both aren't big on it, but I love this album. So far so good. So what? And like the last album, I could Marty, I showed anyways. Megadeth's my number 5 band. There's my favorite. And then I just told Alan told the group that I'm going to hold up this one because I think a lot more highly of this album than you guys do.
A lot of people do.
And not giving you shit in the least. I mean, but
that's fine. You can give me shit all you want. It's fine.
It's remarkable that they even came out with an album in the condition that they were, these guys at the time. I mean, Mustaine was just out of it. But
I would suspect that album was the first Megadeth album for a lot of people, and that might factor in a bit as to why it's a favorite amongst some people because it was the first they heard.
Maybe even a people that have a couple years or younger than I am, stuff like that. But when I first heard Into the Lungs of Hell and then straight into Set the World Afire, I was just like, yes, this is awesome. And kind of one of my deep favorite tracks on this one is 502. Corny lyrics and shit like that. But, when he goes Pull Over Shithead, This Is the Cops. I was like, oh yeah, this is great. And In My Darkest Hour is a good song, but I wouldn't
Yep.
say it's one of my top on here. But you go into Liar and Hook and Mouth and these lyrics that he spits out, I mean, just top notch. But there is my number 5 band, Megadeth.
All right.
Yep, good call. I figured you'd have them just a little bit higher than I did, Darcy.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. So we had 5, 6, 7 on that, eh?
Yep. We
Okay.
stacked them there. All right, let's see. So my number 5, Marty, I think already showed this one. Is Testament.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because Testament is not part of the big 4 of American thrash, but they've probably got the longest and most consistent catalog of any American thrash band. 13, 14 or so albums at this point. And they've always stuck to their guns really well. There's only a few deviations, and the deviations are kind of minor when you compare them to what other thrash bands started doing in the 90s. I mean, with Testament, obviously, yes, you have The Legacy, which is an album that, yeah, I was not as high on as many people until just, the past few years revisiting it. So it's like, okay, yep, it really is as good as everyone makes it out to be. I'll hop right on that bandwagon. No problem. Yeah, I like the, Practice What You Preach and Souls of Black better than a lot of folks do. That whole era is fine by me. You get into the 90s albums and there's a step down, but it's not as big a step down as, say, like the German bands had with some of their, least successful endo-rama, excursions into what the hell are you doing?
Tread lightly, tread lightly.
I know we're poking the Canadian bear here just a little bit. But for Testament, the 90s output is The Ritual, which isn't bad, it's just too long and boring. Then there's Low, which is listenable. It's not a great album, but it's not terrible. You've got some James Murphy that you can enjoy. And even Demonic, yes, it's them trying to lean too far into death metal, but it's not an absolute disaster of a shit show of an album. And then for the past 20 years, after Chuck got through his health scares, they've put out consistently solid Bay Area thrash albums. Now they are a band I am always quick to tease a bit for having that standard Nuclear Blast contract thing where Marty and I will say Nuclear Blast signs these veteran bands and tells them, just make the same damn album you were making in 1988 and we will keep paying you and people will keep buying it. Testament is a little guilty of that.
Until this new album, they're trying to do different stuff.
They have, yes. And some folks have mentioned in the chat, some folks like the new one, some folks like Jurgen really don't. I've listened to it. I will give them points for sure for trying something a little bit different, for mixing in the black metal element. Okay, that's cool. I'm glad they did try something different. The album overall, I don't think it's bad, but I have not bought it. I don't intend to buy it because I don't think it's something I would listen to hardly ever. It would be one of those things I would buy it, play it 3 times, put it on the shelf and forget about it. So I'm just keeping my $15 for something that's going to get more spins than the New Testament. But I don't think it's a terrible album. And I really don't think any of their 21st century albums are terrible. I own most, if not all of them. But they do tend to collect a bit of dust. It's the destruction problem of, up until Parabellum, they have gotten a little too cookie cutter over the years. One album that stands out from the run is the second one I'll show. Testament's The Gathering from 1999. An album that kind of slipped under the radar a bit when it came out, at least for me. But you've got, a killer lineup on here and a really good set of songs. This was a fantastic return to form after those, relatively difficult 90s albums. And of course, this one I think maybe folks forget too, because after this, there's a bit of a hiatus. Chuck was dealing with things. But this album, yeah, it has, a great track list to it. It's maybe a little too long. You could probably shave a track or two off of it. The cover art is a thing. There's something happening here with a thing that looks like a snake. Yeah, snake. We're going to go with it looks like a snake. Not at all like a penis. Completely like a snake.
All that thing is
Sure.
Mrs. Some elf ears.
But yes, for being probably the most consistently thrash of all the American thrash bands, Testament made it to number 5 on my list.
Formation of Damnation to me is a great record. I
That
love
is-
that record.
I
That
agree.
one, I would have that one among the later Testament. I would put that one, just a step below The Gathering.
Yep.
All right, Marty,
Yeah,
we're in
no.
top 5. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
We're gonna
Darcy.
say
No,
Darcy.
I was gonna say that The Gathering is a good kind of just everything Testament has done.
Yeah.
And thrown it into a pot, because prior to that album, the only song you ever heard kind of death chuck on was Dog Face Gods off of Low. And then in The Gathering, you heard death chuck about probably 3 times. And some of the strongest songs on there, like Down for Life, True Believer,
Yeah.
just crushing. Good pick, anyways. And that was your number
Number
5?
5 for me. Yep. They
Yeah,
made it into the top
right on.
5.
Right on.
They're not in the big 4, but they are in my top 5.
Well, they're in the Big 10. That's all that counts.
All right, Marty, where are you at here as we get into your number 5?
Oh. There it is.
Mm-hmm.
I got to go back to high school. I had an Overkill shirt for every day of the week. I even had where is it? I even had this t-shirt. My mom said, you can't wear that out of the house. I said, okay. But I did wear it around the house. Then I got too fat and couldn't wear it anymore. But yeah, this band, this was my, where is it? I got these all out of whack. Picked this up just because of the label it was on. Loved it. End up getting this, and this thing just continues to blow me away to this day. One of my favorite thrash albums right here, Feel the Fire. Even though it may not be straight up traditional thrash, it's still, again, East Coast. It's got a little bit of the punky vibe to it. Rat Skates, the way he plays, very frantic. And the way it's mixed, the drums are almost like a lead instrument here. So clanky bass, Blitz's voice is just absolutely killer. Love it. And even up through, well, great live album. I struggled with this record. I ended up loving it, but it seemed like for a while there they were putting out the occasional stinker. But this album isn't a stinker, but I didn't like it as much as the other ones. And of course, these two. This to me is the last of their truly, truly great. I mean, I do like albums like Ironbound, The Electric Age. The newest one, Scorched, good. I mean, they're still putting out really great, solid stuff. They only have one real asshole of an album. It's that I Hear Black. That album just sucks. Sorry. I couldn't believe Overkill was going to Alice in Chains influence. It was long and boring and tired, but
I wrote an entire poem about how bad that album was for a previous
poem.
Yeah.
I was on that episode.
You were. I made Darcy sit through that poem.
Oh my God. Worst thing I ever heard.
Second only to the album itself.
Professor Seuss.
No. You guys are wrong on that one too, but we'll put it on the list.
But Overkill, you gotta appreciate their legacy. And do you need to have every single one of their albums? I have them all. Yeah, it just breaks my heart. These are the original high school CDs, and when our toilet busted and flooded and it ruined all of my, oh well. I'm still having problems with flooding issues. I'm not having problems with it. I'm still perseverating on it. But yeah, Overkill for me were a very important band in my high school years. I love their originality. They didn't sound like anybody else. They still don't sound like anybody else. And the funny thing is, you don't hear a lot of bands these days that are imitating Overkill.
No.
You don't.
No.
They're one of those bands. You don't hear a lot of bands that are imitating Nuclear Assault. There's not a lot of that stuff going on anymore. And but which is kind of an interesting. Why is that? But anyway, Darcy.
And the cool thing about Overkill, if you look at their first, go from Feel the Fire to all the way to 99's Necroshine, they didn't make one same album. Not once in a row did they have a samey album. Even with the different eras of the band, when you went from years of decay, or sorry, Under the Influence, to Years of Decay, to Horoscope, and then you made whatever you think I Hear Black is, and then you had a very bassy sounding WFO. They always changed it up. They actually got a little more samey later on in their career, but their
Nuclear
first,
Blast Contract.
in a way, but for me, there's still enough little tweaks that they do to, keep me a big fan. But yeah,
I will say their
Overkill,
biggest
good
sin
pick.
is their albums over the years they've gotten too long. If they cut a couple
Yeah.
songs off of each album, I think a little bit shorter. I mean, they just have a lot. They put a lot into each record. A lot.
Well, I knew Overkill was coming with you. I didn't know this soon, but I know how much you love Feel the Fire. You talk about it quite a bit.
Yep. Years of Decay, Horoscope, so good. Great.
So
Great.
that's your number 5.
Yep.
Number 4 for me.
Yep.
Okay, so a little bit like Alan with Creator, and actually the German 4 in general for me was a later on in life discovery. I didn't, I knew of some of these bands back in the day, and I actually remember a band like Creator being, I thought they were too extreme for me back in the day. Some of the German thrash was just a little edgier than what we were listening to, our Metallicas and our Megadeths and stuff like that. But learned to love a lot of these bands, and my number 4 is a band that over the past 7 or 8 years has really climbed up the ladder. And here is my favorite Sodom album, M16. And this maybe is a direct reflection of being really relatively a newer fan. I only have about 8 or 9 years under my belt with Sodom, but man, I love Sodom. First of all, one of the most consistent discographies of the German Big Four. And well, I mean, Tankard's another story, but good band too, by the way. But
Yeah.
M16, this is just, man, I just love this album. Is this this is the one with Surf and Bird that they throw on the end, which is
Stupid.
useless. But
So stupid.
my favorite tracks on this album, Marines and Little Boy, absolutely crushing. Love this album. Love this band. That is my number 4, and I'm going to show you another one that I was waiting very patiently for a reissue to come out. And at the time I knew of the album, I've heard the album, but I didn't know how much I would actually like the album. But here's the one I'm going to show, Tapping the Vein.
Great record.
Man, this is, they only did 2 albums with Andy on guitar, which good news for you Sodom fans. Get What You Deserve is, there's going to be some news on November 25th on a reissue coming of that album. So I think that'll be early 2026. So that would have been the album that came after this one. This is actually the last one with Chris on drums. But man, this top to bottom, I mean, and the vocals are a little, even on the death metal spectrum a little bit, but Body Parts, Skinned Alive, One Step Over the Line. I mean, just the Crippler, Bullet in the Head. It just never, it doesn't stop. This one, it doesn't actually let you breathe much. It's just like an onslaught. So I just had to throw this one in here. Love this album cover. And I've said this before. I'm a logo guy, and this is absolutely one of my favorite band logos. And yeah, Sodom have worked their way all the way to number 4 of my Big 10.
Nice.
Very cool.
Ellen.
So I did find the Overkill poem, I'm
You don't
just
throw
saying.
anything away, do you? You
Okay,
don't throw
I'm just going to the
anything
I'm
away.
going to the bathroom. I'll be back.
I'm just saying I could.
Drop it.
I could. Sure. Why? How
Drop it
often?
like it's hot.
How often do you get to do these things? Just to prove that I was not being hyperbolic. I literally wrote a
Oh.
Dr. Seuss poem about that album and how bad it is. Me.
Testing.
Testes.
I am going to the bathroom.
Darcy's waiting to see if I would do it for sure. Here we go.
Oh, you're not doing it?
No, I'm doing it.
Okay, do it.
Yeah. So they say Overkill is back with an album, I Hear Black. I think the album sounds too tame. In fact, I think it's really lame. I did not like it in the store. I think it is a total bore. I did not like it in the pit. I do not think it is a hit. The music sounds too gray and cold. And Blitz is sounding really old. Where's his anger? Where's his piss? Where's his sneer? Where's his hiss? No, I do not like it. Not one bit. You hear black. I hear shit. Thank you. Thank you.
And we got to hear Darcy P too. That's the second for Heavy Metallurgy, everybody. That was the second time we got to hear someone
you
P
go.
on this channel.
Appropriate that
I
it
was
would go
pissing
along
on
with
you.
this album.
That was his.
Oh well, the mic was on. That's okay.
What's up, Steve? How's it going, man? What the hell did I click on?
Hey,
You're
Steve.
lucky I didn't take a shit. That's bad, Alan. You got to revisit that album
No.
at least
No, I
once
do-
a year.
Jeez.
I revisited it when we did the Overkill catalog.
Yeah.
I did revisit it at that time, and now
So that's your absolute worst metal album list. That's number one.
That would be on there.
it would be on there. I don't know if it's number one, but it would be on there. I mean, we've talked about it before. There's a strong personal bias against it. I'll talk about it.
How do you
'cause
follow
we're
up
not,
horoscope
We're not
with
done
that?
with Overkill for the night, so
Yeah.
we'll get there. But yeah, no, there is a reason I have a personal acrimony with that album. But we're not there yet because we're on number 4, and Overkill isn't number 4. This band is. Instead of raining in piss, we will rain in blood. Slayer, I've got as number 4. It's kind of surprised. I've got it higher than either of you. I didn't see that coming necessarily. Things with Slayer here, I mean, the influence is undeniable. So, I mean, Slayer's getting huge points. Like you said, Marty, a lot of these thrash bands we're talking about don't get a lot of adulation today in terms of new bands coming out that are really borrowing heavily from them. You don't hear, a lot of, a newer Nuclear Assault or a newer Overkill, but Slayer's fingerprints are all over extreme metal and will continue to be so for a long time. Slayer also gets bonus points for being a thrash band that carried the torch well longer than anybody else did. By the time you get to 90, 91, 92, most of the other bigger thrash bands were past their prime. We've talked about it with several of these bands so far tonight. Anthrax was going off into noisy John Bush territory. Metallica was leaving thrash and to some extent metal altogether. Dave was singing about the lament of farmers getting foreclosed on with an album that was a thing. Testament was getting really boring. But Slayer kept making up to Divine Intervention, which you mentioned, Marty. So even as late as 94, Slayer was dedicated to just doing pure thrash. They really didn't give a fuck about the trends or what was happening with grunge and stuff like that. Yeah, they eventually succumbed, but it was much later than the other bands did, and I give them some extra credit for that. Starting with Rain in Blood here, it's the iconic one. It was the most extreme thing anybody had heard at the time. It still ranks pretty high on extremity, even all this time later. Not my personal favorite, but a landmark album for sure. One that sometimes is my personal favorite, not always. My Slayer list is kind of fluid, but South of Heaven, like Darcy said earlier, I thought it was really genius as well, because you couldn't really push it much harder than this at the time. So what did you do? Well, you didn't try. You went ahead and took things into a different direction that worked pretty well. there's a few misfires on this album, but I don't mind that they slowed it down and made it creepier and still has, a very dark tone to it. Slayer has their difficult 90s moments. Darcy showed us that earlier with Diabolos. I will say that Slayer got back on track relatively fast after that. God Hates Us All, I'm not going to say it's a good album, but it's better than Diablos. And after that, the albums are okay. None of them are essential. I agree with Marty, up to Divine Intervention is kind of, you could stop there and be fine. You would have all the Slayer you would ever really need.
Yeah.
But if you do have some of those last few albums, they're serviceable Slayer albums. There's nothing bad about them. They're not embarrassing in any way. It's just that, they never quite, again, measure up to what they did before. But really, Diabolos is the only album I feel like maybe I would completely steer clear of. I don't have the later albums, but I don't avoid them because I don't like them. I just don't feel like I really need them. So Slayer, extremely long and solid catalog. A lot of iconic moments, hugely influential on tons of bands later, and all that kind of helped push Slayer up to number 4 on my list.
Wade is asking what your personal favorite is.
Wade, again, it kind of flip-flops. Sometimes I will say South of Heaven. Other times I will say Show No Mercy. But it's usually it's always going to be one of those two. Hell Awaits, I love certain songs on Hell Awaits, but as an album, it never ranks as high. Rain and Blood ranks high, but not number 1. I like Seasons a lot. I know some people are, a little more lukewarm on that album. I think it's got a great track list. I think it's ordered well. I think the songs fit together really well. But South some days, Show No Mercy other days, Wade.
Yeah. Hell Awaits, 40 years old now, eh?
Yep, it would be.
Celebrating. Yeah, there's a special reissue package coming out from Metal Blade.
Nothing wrong with that. I get sometimes a little cynical about all the special 38th edition of the Third Defiance album repackage.
I don't know. Those albums deserve to be in print forever. It's like the Death Catalog. It's good that the shit's in print now.
Again, I'm not taking anything away from it. Just again, as somebody who already has probably how many copies do I have of Hell Awaits? I honestly don't know. I should. I probably only have 2, but the reissues, they're not for me, but they are for folks who still want them and need them. That's cool. All right, Marty, you're number 4.
Well, I know some people might have a hard time calling. Well, this band kind of moved out of thrash for a while, but Voivod's got to be on my list. And this album in particular, one of my favorite albums of all time. It's just one of those albums I've spun a million times. All the albums around it as well. Listened to endlessly, and their Voivod are taking it a little bit more proggy on this, but it's still completely innovative. Piggy's guitar style is second to none. Rarely imitated. Another band from back in the day that no one really fucks with much, which is awesome. It keeps Voivod and other bands that benefit, like, it just keeps their sound pure in their own. And I just always love this band. There's something about it. I know Alan struggles, but and I get why. I do get why. It's a bit obtuse, and the stuff that Alan has liked is the early stuff, War and Pain and Roar. I was surprised he liked those so much, but I'm not, because it's more straightforward driving, even though they're still unique. There's a lot more venom and early influence mixed
some
in with
Motorhead,
that.
a little new wave of British heavy metal.
But this stuff here is completely innovative, and they did so, especially on this album. God, it's just perfect. I love the production. This is recorded by Harris Johns, I believe. I think it sounds like a Harris Johns production. I could be wrong. Jurgen, correct me if I'm wrong. But this band, they stood alone in Canada. They put Canada definitely on the map for me. I mean, I really wanted to put Sacrifice on my list too, but there's so much other stuff, and but these guys had to go. I spent countless hours reading the lyric sheets and trying to draw like away while I was listening to Voivod. So such an iconic band, and they really kind of beat me up a bit during the Angel Rat era, but I eventually came around. But I still, and the new stuff they put out, great. It's still Voivod. Frank, there's no way I could work Halloween into this. There's no way I could have made it work. There's no connection. So, yep, number 4 for me is Voivod.
Yeah, great pick too. I mean, when I heard Tribal Convictions off that album, I was like, unreal. Yeah, what a great album that is. What a great band. What are we on? Number 3? My number
Up to
3?
our top 3. Yep.
Okay, where are we? Hey, well, you know what? For this one, I busted out the old cassettes, my original cassettes. So here's my number 3, Testament.
There they
And
are.
yeah, not only is this my favorite Testament album, but it is my favorite thrash debut of all time. It just
Yeah,
and
I can see that.
Marty touched on that a bit too, but this one, it just never gets old.
It doesn't. The songs are so perfectly written. Yeah,
it is. To me, it's almost like lightning in a bottle. Just the combination of like even the themes, the lyrics on here. Lot obviously, if you're in a Testament, you know that Steve Souza used to be the vocalist for the Legacy, and then they changed their name to Testament. But Zetro has 6 writing credits on this with lyrics, and then he went off to join Exodus after this. But man, just the pace of this album, the Alex Skolnick factor, and at the time, and I didn't realize till years later of how much I respect Eric Peterson as a songwriter and a guitar player, because I mean, obviously Testament is pretty much run by Chuck and Eric. They're kind of the owners of the band, and absolutely love this album, love the band. And the one I'll follow up with, at the time, I'll actually tell you, I think I was a wee bit disappointed, but over the years, and I'm talking years, because this album I'm going to show you came out in 1990. This one has moved way up my Testament ladder, and that's Souls of Black. Initially when it first came out, I'm like, okay, I love the Legacy, I love the New Order, I love Practice What You Preach, but I don't love this one. I love parts of it. In a way it felt like, and maybe it is a few leftovers from Practice What You Preach, but like I said, it's moved up the ladder over the years. Probably, I think this would be my 6th favorite Testament album overall, but some killer songs in. And I actually got to see them open for Megadeth that year on the Rust in Peace tour. So that was a great time to see Testament and Megadeth. But Testament, my number 3 of my Big 10.
All right.
Good call. We all had Testament there.
All right, Alan, you're up.
All right, let's see. So number 3 for me. Now it's time for Overkill to be taking over. Yes. We've covered
what
them.
The hell copy is that?
This is the worst freaking saddest bootleg copy you've ever seen. We'll take a minute to revel in how horrible it is.
Why did you buy it?
Because I didn't have a physical copy and I found it in a store. It has a weird gray border on the top for no reason whatsoever. The side thing is kind of a weird, it's kind of like a baby puke yellow color.
Perfect.
All on the spine. Oh, it gets better. The back cover, also with a big blank gray bar on the top.
Is that one of those Amazon CDRs that they did for a while?
Yeah, I think it is.
It is.
It might be,
Glad
but it's funny because it was
a Ulysses Siren disc like that.
Okay,
Yeah.
I guess so. It's funny because I did buy it actually in a physical store. But yes, inside the back of the book looks exactly like
it is. Even Simon said it looks like one of those crap Amazon pressings.
Back of the thing. Yep. So,
Okay, text me your address when this is over, because that's got to change.
Yeah, I found a vinyl
We
copy
got to get rid of that.
a while back. So no, I'm in better shape now. I just like Marty. I
Okay.
didn't pull many vinyl records tonight with other stuff going on. But yeah, and then you get this. But the grand finale, the inside of the booklet. Whoa! Check this shit out.
Oh, wow.
One giant pale yellow stripe. Yeah. Wasn't too happy when I got that one home.
Fuck
and
you, Jeff
unwrapped it.
Bezos.
Yeah, that was pretty crappy. But anyway, so Overkill, they've got the longest discography of any American thrash band. We did the whole discography. I think it was what, 21 albums? It was at least 20.
They're working on their 21st album right now.
Okay, yeah, they're one of the there's only a handful of metal bands. I think we've come up with maybe 10, maybe 12 metal bands total across all heavy metal that have ever made 20 albums, legit full-length studio albums. Overkill's, yeah, the only American thrash band to hit that mark. There is
who's made 27?
Yep.
27.
Yep.
There is a long string of stuff from like late turn of the century Overkill for a while. They got way too groovy, lost my interest completely, not interested in that stuff. They have bounced back nicely in more recent years. Most folks point towards, Ironbound, and that probably is the moment where they really do turn it around. But for me, the Electric Age
Good album.
is the best. Yeah, this is the best of the sort of, we got our second wind and our nuclear blast contract kind of albums. But yeah, I really like this one. Overkill. So again, there is a chunk of their discography I'm not nuts about. So why are they way up here at number 3? This again is just, in terms of personal favorite. Marty described them great. Blitz has, a very unique voice. Some people hate it, and I get why. I've always loved the way he sounds. He always sounds very pissed off and angry, which works great for thrash. I've always loved D.D. Verney's bass sound. He's always got, a very loud, distinct bass in a lot of their albums. And that's cool. You don't hear that necessarily.
Punky. It's a punk edge.
And they have more of that punk sound. That's my next point exactly. Yes, they bring in that. And it's not, the, oi punk. It's not just, Sex Pistols punk. It's Dead Boys punk. It's, really, nasty, rude, snotty kind of, but with an edge kind of punk. And they've made a couple of my favorite albums of all time. The debut, Feel the Fire, is fantastic. That album, just sounds, badass, creepy, scary in all the best ways. Years of Decay is my second favorite album of all time in any genre, any era. Is one of the first, and a lot of that, again, it's personal bias. It was one of the first, real thrash albums I got after Metallica.
Great album.
And everything about that album is just, perfect to me. So between the first 5 albums, I think, are all great. Like you, Marty, Under the Influence, it's a little bit tough. There's actually a lot of good songs on it, but it has some weird moments, and you can tell they were maybe leaning a little bit too much in the Anthraxy direction, just a little bit too much. You feel like there's a little Atlantic influence. There's like, hey guys, why don't you flip the bill on your hats up and skateboard a little bit or something? Which thankfully they didn't do too much, but there's a little bit of it on that album.
That's a lot to do with the production, though. The production for sure, that was typical.
Yep.
Alex Perry Ellis production, and then they discovered a guy named Terry Date for the next 2 albums that really showed how good that production was.
Yeah, and those albums are monstrously good. And even Horoscope is a great album. Marty showed it. A very underappreciated album. And it's one of it's one of the last really, really strong thrash albums of that original thrash wave. Because after that, things start getting weird. And this is why I dislike I Hear Black so much. Because 91, 92, bands really started dropping off in quality. Some bands dropping off the face of the earth entirely, others wandering way outside the thrash zone or making really boring albums. So when I heard Overkill was coming out with an album in spring of 93, expectations were very high. This band had 5 solid, not just solid albums. This band, had, hit 5 times in a row. And I really wanted to hear a kick-ass killer thrash metal album because I'd been very disappointed with The Ritual and Countdown to Extinction and the Black Album. And then you have I Hear Black, which is Overkill, trying to be somewhat objective about it. It's Overkill channeling a bit more Black Sabbath and, like Marty said, going for a little bit more like an Alice in Chains alternative, dreary Black Sabbath inspired vein. And that's just,
it was probably Black Sabbath, but it came off as Alice in Chains. Yeah.
And it's exactly the dead opposite of what I really wanted. And I mean, it sounds funny to say, but what I really needed out of a thrash album at that point, I needed a really good shot of no bullshit thrash. And they delivered exactly the opposite of that. And that is why I always will have personal animus against that album. It was the time I needed Overkill to really deliver. And it's the only time early in their career they completely dropped the ball. Folks were asking earlier about Wide Fucking Open in the chat. It's 1 year later and they bounced back and they put together a solid thrash album.
Yeah, they did.
It's not perfect. And it does show some hints of the grooviness that was going to come, but WFO is just like, oh, wow, that's great. How did they record I Hear Black just a year before this? That album's never made any sense in their discography. It's this completely just great, yeah, pretty good, great. The fuck is this? And then right back to great. So yeah, that is why I will always rant about that album. It hit me completely wrong at a time I really wanted thrash metal, and it just makes no sense in their catalog. It's so out of
that's
place.
the last time they worked with. They worked with the same guy they worked with under influence. Alex Perry Ellis was the producer on I Hear Black, and that's probably the last time they actually worked with a producer. They kind of took over their own production after that, and just getting guys like Sneap and Zeus Harris to mix and master. But after that, Wide Open was, I think, their first self-produced album, and unfortunately the last on Atlantic Records. But it was a good album because even though with that prominent upfront bass sound on that album, but to me that one gave it character. Okay.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
Good album too. But yeah, good to see Overkill on your list.
Oh yeah. Again, they will always be, they always have a special place for me among thrash bands, even if there is a stretch of albums, the Killbox 13 Necroshine kind of era. It's not for me. But yeah, they've done enough and given me enough enjoyment over the years. They'll always rank real high. All right, Marty, we're into your top 3 now. Interested to see what you got way up here.
Going very European from here on out.
So, okay.
This right here.
Yeah.
This band.
Yeah.
It's absolutely very, very. I really connected with this band over my teenage years. This album in particular, absolutely flawless record. I love the dark, eerie, atmospheric production of this. The songs sound mystical. It's mystical, technical thrash. And Corner, the type of band that are technical, but they are not alienating. They're not so busy that the songs are hard to grab a hold of. They're the technicality is actually helps sell these songs even more so. It blows me away. And this album was probably my first. I think I got this one first, and always kind of bummed the vocals were kind of buried, but still the songwriting is so good on it. And how could you not be blown away by Skeleton on Your Shoulder? What a riff run in this thing. This ended up being a favorite as well. I really like the more emotional side of it. There's a lot of personal lyric stuff going on in here, and it's even kind of highlighted by the album cover a bit, like someone grieving or whatever. Someone having an emotional break on the cover, covering their face. But this album to me it's really great. It's really great. And then this one, it took me a few minutes to warm up to it. It really did. Great record. I'm with you 100%, Alan. That this is a really good record. Still sounds like Coroner, but they're obviously trying to tighten it up a little bit. They're not trying to calm down the technicality a little bit. There's a little bit more of a rock influence entering their riffs, more palm muted crunching, less killer riff runs, but they are still here, but they're just not as pronounced. And I Want You, She's So Heavy. I never liked their covers.
And they cover a Beatles song.
And the more I listen to this, I really do like this record. I really do. I think Grin was an easy album to better because that record is really rough. And the few new songs that are on the that compilation as well, I didn't love that either. But like Jim in the album club, he's like, he wanted him to go back to the old. I knew that wasn't going to happen. And I heard a bunch of stuff about them going more Grin, I really feared that this record was going to suck. And I was very happy that it didn't. It's kind of like their Celtic Frost moment. There's an avant-garde element to this.
There is. Yep.
That really works. They got a dedicated keyboard or synth guy, and it's very subtle. I really like the way they use it and incorporate it with these songs. The album is produced really well. Ron's voice is fantastic. Doesn't sound like he's lost a beat. I want a little bit more technicality, but it's there. It's there. I think this is more in line. If there's some guitar stuff on here that reminds me of Mental Vortex, but there's just a meatier, darker production to it, which really helps a lot. So I'm still trying to figure out if it's going to hit my top of the year. The more I listen to it, I didn't, the first time I listened to it, I liked it, but I just there's a lot to process here. I don't quite know where it would sit in the pantheon here, but good record. But yeah, Corner. The Europeans just get it right when it comes to thrash. They just do. There's a darker sense to what they do. Aggressive in a different way. Yeah, I agree, Jürgen. The new Corner is fantastic. Absolutely. But yeah, Corner number 3 for me.
Yeah, and it was like, I'm still kind of newer to Corner overall, but I really like Mental Vortex also.
You need RIP if you don't have it. That's such
I
a
have
great
it.
record.
Yeah, I
Okay,
have
good.
it. I definitely have it. But their drummer before, what was his name?
Marcus.
Yeah, Marcus or whatever.
Yeah.
He wrote all the lyrics.
Yeah.
For everything. And they had they have a female writer. You'd have to look her up. Her name is Crescenda Lee Everett. She wrote mostly 90% of the lyrics on this thing. And I thought that, like, I'm not generally a lyric guy, but
I haven't read them yet.
Some of those songs like Consequence and The Law, Transparent Eye, which actually that song has a little bit of a Tool vibe to it. But man, I just love that album. But I think I as a newer fan, I think I like Mental Vortex maybe a little bit more than you guys, but
I like it. Yeah.
Grin is not, no, it's not great.
It's bad. And it's produced so clean. It's such a clean production. That doesn't help either. You know?
Yeah.
All right, Darcy, number 2. We're getting down to the nitty gritty here.
Number 2. Okay. So a little bit like Sodom and the German Big Four, but Creator made it all the way to my number 2.
Okay.
And Sodom, I had a bit of a newer album on the top, but when I started on YouTube, people were, recommending me this, and you got to listen to this, and how much they love this album, and they made me love this album because I love it. And that is my favorite. I wish I would have known it when it came out back in the day, but this is one of those bands that I've invested lots of time, money, love for this band, but all the way to number 2, Creator. And no, I'm not going to show Endorama, but I am a fan of that album. I get what it's all about, and your guy Tommy was on that album.
I know. And
Uh-huh.
Outcast. He was on Outcast as well.
yeah, which is actually the next album I'm going to show you because um, there is definitely some weakness in the 90s. Coma of Souls is not weak. That is kind of where, I actually love Coma of Souls,
Great
but
record.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
I struggle badly still with Cause of Conflict and Renewal. I still, they're not, they haven't hit the mark for me. And that's kind of where Outcast was for a while. But this one is really, I listened to this one quite a bit again. This
Hmm.
is the first one they did with Tommy on guitars, and you can hear in this album where they were going with the Endorama. And at the time with Endorama they toured quite a bit with Paradise Lost, and there's a little of that rubbed off on them for sure, and probably a shitload of dope or whatever they were on. But Outcast, there's some killer tracks on here. And even Phobia, they play Phobia in every show. But I think my favorite song on this album is called Against the Rest. And so why I held this one up is I think this is kind of a sleeper for me. Like I
Hmm.
said, it's not going to be number top 5 Creator albums for me by no means, but it's not as bad as I initially thought. And yes, and I am an Endorama fan. I think it's a very good album. It's not. It could have been a Millie solo album maybe, and people would accept it more than they do.
Hmm.
But I also think people just get it stuck in their brain, and they're just like, nah, that's shit. I'm not going there, and they don't invest the time into some of these albums. But I'm probably the same way with other albums myself. But Creator makes it all the way to number 2 for me.
Very cool.
And basically my problem with Como Souls is just the fact that it's not Extreme Aggression. It's damn close, but I loved it
Yeah.
when it came out. I listened to it a ton, but over the years, I still prefer Extreme Aggression. I think it's a
Oh
better
yeah,
record.
I mean it's such a good album.
Yeah. And, I got to give Milla and crew props for trying new stuff. It's just Outcast is where when Tommy joined the band, I'm like, oh, here we go. Here we go. This is it. The ultimate thrash metal union, Wonder Twin powers activate. Didn't happen. And it was disappointing. And then, I appreciate them for experimenting, but again, as a legacy band with a long career, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Mhm.
If it was the Milla solo project, I think it would have been definitely. I think you're exactly right, Darcy. I think it would have been widely accepted, probably. But Alan,
All right, number 2. I didn't know where this band would end up on the list, but as I worked on it, I'm like, yeah, I really am going to put them at number 2, even though there's only a portion of their discography that is thrash. Number 2 for me is Metallica. And I gripe about Metallica a lot.
I think we all have a right to.
Yeah, Metallica for me, it really is. It's a 4-album catalog. After album number 4, they're not a thrash band, and at times I'm not sure they're even a metal band. Whatever, it's a conversation for another time. What I realized, though, in terms of figuring out where does Metallica go on this list, yeah, they're not a band I play very often anymore. I know these older albums really well, so they don't come off the shelf a whole lot. So what gets them all the way up here to number 2? It's the fact that these first 4 albums are arguably the most important 4 thrash albums ever released. You can make a case for a few others here and there. We've shown a lot of great albums tonight, but in terms of like truly impactful, iconic, not just on thrash metal, but on metal across the board, the first 4 Metallica albums, there are a few that get put on that same shelf. You've got, Kill 'Em All. Sure, we can split hairs in hindsight and say, okay, it still has a lot of new wave of British heavy metal, and maybe it's like, proto thrash or whatever. Without this album, there is no thrash metal. It doesn't happen. And it's still, a personal favorite. it has its issues. Yes, there's a lot of 6+ minute songs on the second half of this album that don't need to be 6+ minutes. They could have trimmed a lot of fat from some of those tracks. But it is still a fantastically fun listen, even after all these years. Y'all talked about Ride the Lightning earlier. I think for a lot of folks, that's been the album that has held up and endured the best out of their whole discography. For a lot of folks, that was the introduction, and that was like, here's thrash metal. This is what it's going to be now. I picked Puppets because I think that is really their peak. They perfect the formula, and it only took them 3 years and 3 albums to do so. Justice is a different kind of beast, but it's them taking thrash in a different direction. While everyone else is trying to catch up to Ride the Lightning, they're 2 albums ahead and taking thrash in a technical direction with And Justice. Metallica, you can say everything you want to about Lars, and most of it's probably deserved. They were always multiple steps ahead of the pack. They were never just settling in, doing what everybody else was doing or anything like that. They were always stayed ahead of the game, which is why they have stayed relevant to so many people for so much longer than almost any other band in the whole genre.
Well, the Black Album elevated them to a monster status.
Well, again, they got out of thrash before anybody else did. They were the first ones there to embrace, that much broader audience. So another band, when Testament's trying to do it later and other bands are trying to do it later, Metallica did it years ago. You're always playing second fiddle to Metallica throughout that whole run. And again, not just in terms of thrash metal. Metallica's influence, they toured with Ozzy. Their exposure, the number of kids they got into heavy metal, you can't count them through the mid and late 80s up to the earliest 90s. Even just, forgetting the Black Album, but, the whole span before that, they're like the American metal band for real headbangers. That's, where you start to draw a line between, okay, your older brother or sister liked Twisted Sister and Quiet Riot. That's great. But you liked Metallica. That was a quote unquote real metal band. That was the thrash metal band. That was America's metal band. Priest and Maiden, Black Sabbath, those were the other, titans that were a little older, and they were all non-American bands. This was our band. Growing up in the mid and late 80s in the US, this was the band that the entire heavy metal universe rotated around. It was not Slayer. It was not Death. It was not Possessed. It wasn't Maiden or Priest or Sabbath. It was Metallica. And for all those reasons, to this day, I can't rank them lower than number 2 in terms of thrash bands that had, a huge influence throughout teenage years, shaping, a lot of my interest and passion for heavy metal. Metallica was the band, bar none. And anybody who says different is really looking at it kind of from an odd angle, maybe trying to play down their legacy. Because, I don't like a single thing they've done for 35 years now. I don't need a single thing they did after And Justice for All. I'm not even huge on And Justice for All. I have problems with that album.
Yeah.
The Black Album came out. I bought it as soon as I could lay my hands on it. And I fell asleep before I got to the end of side A on that tape. That album bored me to sleep on first listen after sitting there jonesing for that album to be released for months. I will never like that album. I don't have to. 50, 60 million other customers enjoy it, and that's fine. But screw that. They still get number 2 ranking. You cannot downplay or underestimate the importance of Metallica on everything involving heavy metal. And so they're number 2. My number 1 is a weird one, by the way, but we'll get to that in a little bit. But Metallica number 2. I'll catch
Pile
up on some
Driver?
comments here. Not that weird.
Two great albums.
Not that weird. But before we can do that, Marty, we got to hear Marty's number 2 before we get to top of the bill.
staying in Germany. We're going to Germany, I should say. Corner wasn't Germany. Close, but not close enough. Destruction. Sentence of death.
Oh wow, okay.
Overkill.
Makes sense because you haven't named them. I wouldn't have guessed you had them quite that high going into the evening, though.
This whole era, I realized going through how much I listened to Destruction when I was a teenager. And I still revisit these early ones up through Release from Agony. In fact, I went for a walk the other day. I got my old 80s kick on and had a cassette Walkman, and I took Destruction's Crack Brain. And great record, other than My Sharona, a stupid cover. What a stupid cover. But Destruction, here we go. They had to be a little bit. I heard Destruction before I heard Corner, so they had to be higher than Corner. But in a lot of ways, they were kind of a similar creation to Corner. They had Mike's technical guitar work, those riffs, the riffing in Bestial Invasion and all of Eternal Devastation. It just was unlike anything else. And the way that their stuff was produced, they were tuned to like standard tuning is what it sounded like to me. And they just had a ferocious, caustic, almost black metal buzz to their guitars. Obviously, this was before black metal was a thing, but I can see how that early Destruction could have influenced it, like Infernal Overkill, the way it's evil, the way the guitars sound, the way it's kind of unrelenting and driving. It feels like early black metal to me. And I just find them up through Release from Agony in particular to be just a very exceptional band. Schmear's voice. I love the fact that he takes it up really super high, those falsetto screams he does. And, these are thrash guys that aren't limited by just sticking to one way of singing. They throw something odd in. I love an odd singer. I don't know what it is, but it works really well in Destruction. It further set them apart from the German bands in particular. And the fact that they didn't sign to Noise was all another one. Sodom didn't either. But it just, such a small country, and all these influential, huge thrash bands they didn't sound like each other, which I think is really cool. It's really cool. It'd be like, I don't know, what's a state that would be like Wisconsin? All these killer influential bands in Wisconsin that they all playing the same style of music but don't sound like each other. It's pretty incredible. And Destruction, they had to be up there. I was kind of surprised how high they went, but yeah, they had to be there. Destruction, I think they're very influential. They're still putting out good records. I did not hear the latest one. I can honestly say that I'm good. I don't know how much I need to keep following them, but the early stuff is endlessly influential and some of my favorite thrash. Darcy.
Yeah. You definitely nailed it when you said their early stuff is evil. You nailed it. That's especially even with Smear's voice is super unique and mixed with Mike's riffs. I mean, those first right up until I guess Crack Brain. I mean, that didn't have Schmear. That had the
dude from Poltergeist.
Yeah, the guy from, I forget his first name, but yeah, the guy from Poltergeist. But it's still a good album too. But Crack Brain is one of my favorites. But they did not make my list, but they would definitely make a list if it was expanded a little bit more.
Yep.
But on to my number one.
Darcy, but before you reveal your number one, sorry.
Yeah.
Does anybody want to take let's see if anybody guesses what your number one is. As a quick
review. That's so hard. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna look at the comments. Yeah.
As a quick review, Darcy's already picked Exodus, Metallica, Slayer, Anthrax, Flotsam and Jetsam, Megadeth, Sodom, Testament, and Creator. So, folks, who do you think Darcy's got at the top of his list?
Tony says Sacrifice.
Underground's going with Tankard. Kev's going with Possessed.
I think Annihilator was in his honorable mentions.
I think so.
Yeah. Honorable mention. Yeah.
Tankard.
Tankard's a good band. Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
They get shit on for no reason.
Sure.
There you go.
Jay, that might be on one of my other lists.
Okay,
but probably not on
time's
Darcy's.
up. Time's up.
Let's do it.
Devin
right.
and
Hey.
Jurgen got it.
Yeah,
There it is.
Devin knew right away anyways, but
Yep, yes, Devin had
Yeah.
it nailed.
this is, Alan said this is his second favorite album overall
Of all
of
time.
all of metal, all time. Which I'm trying to remember. Would it be Hall of the Mountain King?
No.
Nope, that's a good guess though. It would be way up the list.
Okay.
It'd be
Anyways.
Halloween Keepers 1.
Keepers 1. Okay.
Mhm.
Overkill, Years of Decay. Overkill has been my favorite thrash band since I discovered them in 1987 on the album Taking Over, and just never looked back. I have never missed a release. I even when times were tough and I had no money, I always had enough money to make sure that I picked up my Overkill album. So and this one, just absolute thrasher piece. Love it. Got my favorite Overkill song on it. It's Playing with Spiders, Skull Crusher.
Yeah.
Kind of a slowed down, doomier version of Overkill, but everything on this, I could still listen to Elimination every day. It wouldn't bother me. I always loved those lyrics. It actually gave me, I remember having a job as a teenager that I wasn't too keen on, and you listen to those lyrics and it's like, one more word, or how does he say it? My foot's going down, shit like that, and
Yep.
just love it. And the one I'm going to show is in that era that Alan was talking about, and there's the 90s were not the best era of Overkill. They got into that groove and things like that. And they're probably my least favorite lineup on with Joe Como and Sebastian Marino when they took over and actually even backtracking more, because I was very surprised at how much I loved Horoscope after losing Bobby Gustafson and then going with two guys, right?
Yep.
But man, I mean, that album blew me away. But then you go into the next era, which is, and I'm going to show The Killing Kind. So this is one of 3 albums they did with the lineup with Joe Como, which you might know him as the vocalist of the third Liege Lord album, sorry. And he did vocals for 2 Annihilator albums, but he played guitar with Overkill, actually 3 albums and the cover album. But this is kind of when they got into that groovy stuff, 96. And the one thing I didn't like that they got away from, and Joe jumped in on some backing vocals and things like this, like the songs like Godlike and Certifiable. And it didn't fit. It just didn't mesh. The album after this, though, From the Underground and Below, actually was a good recovery, one of the better albums. But out of that era, Necroshine would be my favorite. It's kind of when they were with that lineup firing on all cylinders, and then along comes another lineup change, and they kind of have stuck for the most part with that lineup over the years. But The Killing Kind is actually getting a reissue on vinyl by Night of the Vinyl Dead, and it's only in Europe too, believe it or not. So if you have a good, it's only European release, and which sucks, but if you have a good friend that lives in Germany, he's going to get you a copy. So I definitely have a copy coming. So thank you, Jurgen. But Overkill, my favorite, my number one of my Big 10, Overkill.
Oh, can't argue against that. Yep.
Good pick.
All right. Let's see. Give folks a chance to guess my number one. And again, it's a little odd, but
I'm trying. I've just been thinking.
Let's see. I have picked so far Holy Terror, Creator, Destruction, Coroner, Megadeth, Testament, Slayer, Overkill, and Metallica. So give folks a chance to throw something out there. Devin, you're the second person to guess Danger Danger.
What country? Can you give us that?
U.S.
Artillery
J, that's a good guess. Jurgen, you're a funny man, Jurgen.
Man, I've tried with Defiance. I've got the first one on vinyl. I got the second one on cassette, and they just never blew me away.
Yeah, I owned 2 other albums back in the day, and I mean, it's not that it's horrible. It's just very generic thrash. So,
Yeah, I don't know. I can't think.
USA.
Yep, another American band.
Oh, I see Death Angel in there, but I don't think that's right.
No, that's not.
But they've got a 15-year-old drummer. You knew I was going to do it sooner or later. They're number 15 on my list.
Nuclear Assault.
Anvil's Canadian. The Wiggles. I think he considers Metal Church more power metal. U.S. power
Sacred
metal.
Reich? Sacred Reich? No?
No, I don't think so.
No, Sacred Reich is B tier for me. Whiplash, Hattori, I thought about Whiplash, but they really just have 2 top-notch albums.
It's At War. Ordered to Kill.
Dark Angel's a band I've been meaning to revisit some. I like some of their stuff, but yeah, I haven't played them in forever. All right, I think it's time to do it. But all good guesses. And I would not, when we came up with this idea, I wouldn't have guessed this was at the top of the list. But when I've looked it over, this band released 4 albums. They are all excellent albums. And I go back and I play their stuff a lot more than pretty much any other band on this list, which is why I ended up making them number 1. They've stayed in consistent rotation for 30 years now, which is not easy to do.
4 albums.
4 albums from Anacrusis.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
This was the fourth and last. That. It's the first one I got. But it wasn't.
I would have never guessed it.
If you had asked me to draft the list just off the top of my head, I probably wouldn't have even had Anacrusis on the rough draft. But all 4 of their albums are unique. All 4 are excellent. They are a band you can just keep going back to and explore and still find more and different things buried in these songs.
Agreed.
Yep. Yeah.
And that makes them, I think that's part of why, they've got a lot more longevity than some of these other albums. The Metallica albums, I know them inside and out. I don't need to play them anymore. I can play Anacrusis albums and still pick out little things and pick up on other tracks as this track, I hadn't really heard it from that angle yet. So killer vocals, really unique vocalist with Ken Nardi, who can do the screeches and the clean vocals equally well. Great musicianship throughout their entire catalog. Very unique band, very underappreciated band. They made 4 albums and they never made a bad album. Screams and Whispers is my favorite. It was their last one, and I think it is their apex. But for my second choice, Suffering Hour should not be overlooked. This is the most thrash, just straight ahead thrash out of their whole catalog. But even this is a cut above any of their contemporaries, except maybe the real upper echelon of bands. This is no Defiance. This is a band that already has really good songwriting, interesting ideas, and stood out in what was rapidly becoming a crowded field. But the fact that they didn't stay here, that they quickly evolved into other directions with Reason and then with Manic Impressions, you just always had the sense that there were no limits on what this band could do within the thrash genre. They were pushed it in other directions. Some folks might even say, is it fair to call Screams and Whispers a thrash album? I think it's thrash at its core, but it has a lot of other influences mixed into it for sure. We've talked about crappy cover songs tonight. This is a band that was covering New Model Army on their third
Yep.
album. They're not covering some Nancy Sinatra bullshit. This band had
Yeah.
an interesting mix of things in the pot, and they did their own thing, and bless them for it. I do not get tired of the Anacrusis catalog. And of course, you saw them, Jurgen. Jurgen has seen every good band and a lot of not so good bands that have ever been in the metal underground. But yeah,
But
that's it
that's
for me.
definitely a band. That is a band that should be on a list of didn't get its fair shake, because all 4 of their albums
Mhm.
are excellent. I have them. I have all 4.
But me too. And it's like
Yep.
bands like Sadist too. I mean, they're doing something a little bit different from the rest, and
Yeah.
the odd and Dead Brain Cells on Universe, they completely changed their sound and did this
Yep.
weird narration type of vocals and got more technical.
Yep.
And people just didn't get it. They just didn't
Yep.
get it. You know?
I didn't get it. I think it's a really good way to put it, Marty. That folks just sometimes, we all get a little too used to what something's supposed to sound like, and so when we hear something that's outside that box, it doesn't immediately gel. And those bands, you don't appreciate them sometimes until it's well into hindsight. I think Anacrusis also had issues with the record label. They got stuck with Axis early on, and there were delays, and that label always seemed to have issues getting stuff distributed. So that didn't help them any. But yeah, they were just a little too far outside the norm for a lot of people to really latch on to quickly.
Jay dropping the obscure one, Doom Watch. That recently I had the tape when that came out, and end up I guess last year I found the vinyl used in a punk bin at Vertigo Records in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Got it for like around $10, and that was a fun find. I hadn't listened to that record for a long time. The one with the skeleton sitting crisscross applesauce on the cover. It's a lot more punk, but it's still cool crossover stuff.
Oh, somebody just asked in the chat. I picked Anacrusis as my number 1 for the night. And we'll try to guess Marty's number 1 here. Let's see. Marty, who have you picked so far? You have picked Sadist, Holy Terror, Testament, Megadeth, Nuclear Assault, Overkill, Voivod, Corner, Destruction. Okay, I think I know where this is going myself, but I won't say, but I've got my guess locked in.
Yeah,
here.
I got it. Mine's locked.
Let's see.
Sepultura,
Tony,
I thought about Sepultura for a minute, but they always kind of felt more death metal-ish to me. I know that's probably wrong, but
they do straddle that line a bit, and I had the same thought.
And their first albums are so like bestial, like just nasty. I don't know. I dig some ABBA. I can't lie to you. I'm a kid of the 70s. How can you not like ABBA? Come on.
Yeah.
Have you no soul? EXE, Stricken by Might. My number 1. Ta-da, the reveal.
Yeah.
Gothic Slam. Just another face in the crowd, baby. Somehow
they do know you. They do know you. Let's see. No one's guessed what I'm guessing.
There it is. Devin got it. Well, let's just get to it. That's the one.
Yep.
Creator.
Had to be.
That's what I was guessing.
Yep, same here.
The whole early run, all the way up through Coma of Souls, is some of the best thrash ever made. It just is. I started with Pleasure to Kill. This was my first album by them. And man, what a first impression. Just absolutely perfect German thrash. It's dark. It's evil. It's evil. It's nasty. It's got a chainsaw to the guitar. The overall production just feels like it's ripping through you. And I love that. The songs are so good.
Mm-hmm.
Milla's voice, so spiteful. Endless Pain, I really like a lot too. I find myself not revisiting that one much for some reason. Terrible Certainty, I love it. It's a transitional record for me. But this album here is really, it's between this and Pleasure to Kill are my 2 favorites. But this record, timeless classic, and it's a hard album to follow up. And that's why I always struggled with, I liked Coma of Souls when it came out. I was satisfied with Coma of Souls, but I was also a little disappointed. I don't know what I was expecting. Maybe it was just produced too well, I don't know. It just felt like a lateral move. But then again, Renewal, when that came around, I was like, what the hell's happening? Hardcore shouting and the industrial feel to it. Not what I wanted. But nowadays I can listen to that record and respect it more. So it's funny how your tastes change over the years and you have different. I wanted nothing to do with Renewal when it came out, but nowadays I rebought it, listened to it, and like, I like this record. I like the feel. I like what he was trying here. Trying something different. Again, you spent a big run of records sounding a certain way. He tried to break out of that a little bit while not going too far. People mention Killing Joke for the Underama stuff. I get that. And if it wasn't Creator, I probably would have liked it a bit more, which is super superficial thing to say and lame to judge an album or a band that way. But yeah, but early Creator, I really don't see it much being done much better. It's just so good. It's so good. Even as kids, they're putting out amazing, forward-thinking, aggressive, perfect German thrash metal. So, yep, for me, Creator. And I even like New Creator. It sounds a little bit more Swedish melodic death metal inspired these days, but I always get the records and I listen to it and I like it for about a week. I'm like, this is a good record, another good Creator record. And then I find they kind of just hit the shelf and sit there, and it's not going to deter me from grabbing something from the initial run of their catalog. Just isn't. But yeah, still great band doing what they do very well.
Nope, can't argue.
Yeah,
Sepultura seems to be the one band folks are amazed it hasn't been mentioned tonight with the chat.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm kind of like with Marty. It's like their early stuff leans heavily towards death metal. Their later stuff leans into its own thing. So there's a window there where Sepultura feels like a thrash band, but
then they go Korn, which that's an unforgivable sin for me. After that, I really stopped giving a fuck about that band, to be honest.
Yeah.
As soon as their roots start showing, I'm just kind of out.
Yeah.
Folks are right. Yeah. There's a window, around.
Yeah, there's a 2-album window for me that I absolutely love. But if you did the math on the overall what they've done, they probably wouldn't make my top 20. They wouldn't.
No.
I really don't know where they would fall. Yeah, I'm not sure.
If I love those 2 albums. I love the 2 albums that I love, and that's about it.
Yeah. Well, there we go. We did it.
All right. We have Darcy. Very fun topic. Thank you for coming up with it and hanging out with us to work through all this stuff tonight.
Man, I just wouldn't have guessed your number 1. I'm just still shocked. I was like,
it's a nice surprise. Yeah.
We could have sat here for another 3 hours and I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah, me either. I never would have guessed it. No.
Yeah, it just played out that way when I kept moving things around in the rankings and just like
I know what I'm going to listen to for the rest of the weekend now.
So what do you think of the Ken Nardi solo stuff, Alan? I really liked it. I'm a big Anacrusis fan, and I liked that first one he did, the double CD. I think it's great, other than the drum machine, a little annoying, but good songs.
The songs are great. It's way too much. He needs to split it up into like kind of regular sized albums. It would be a lot more
a real drummer would
have digestible and enjoyable.
Yeah.
But no, he does solo stuff. Usually when guys do a solo album, I'm not that into it. I feel like it's their chance to go experiment, do this 70s hard rock homage you always wanted to. Nardi's solo albums have actually stayed closer to the band's core sound than is typical, which I think is a good thing. Yeah. So can't complain about those.
Right on. Darcy just dropped a video. Was it Canadian Thrash? I haven't watched it yet.
I was just chatting about the Canadian Big Four, which if you weren't here for the start of it, you'd think, well, there's a Canadian guy. Why doesn't he have any of this Canadian stuff? I'm weird that way. I kind of just keep my big Canadian Four off to the side, and I still love it all. But if you want to check that video out, we talk about some great bands, and If you haven't checked out the new album from Sacrifice that came out this year, Volume
Great.
6, I
Totally great.
definitely recommend that one.
Yep.
Great album.
Yep, I agree. Great album.
But thanks for having me, you guys. I always love coming on.
anytime.
We love having you, man. Now I'm glad to hear you have some free Fridays coming up, so maybe we can circle back around to something else
Absolutely.
here sooner than later.
Jump on that glam episode with some backup though. With some backup.
Yeah, we're gonna need backup because what I have
We're
is gonna be overlapped really quick.
Yeah,
so
we need backup.
Alan, what do you got coming up? Let's Talk Metal. He dropped this week. I haven't had time to watch it, but perfect albums. I can't remember. It had Blind Guardian and something else.
Oh yes, I was started doing a little series on bands that made like 2 10 out of 10 albums.
Yeah,
lots of bands make one like top notch album, but this was looking specifically at bands that managed to make at least 2 top notch albums. And I'm going to this week was power metal. In the future, I'll probably do one on thrash. I'll do one on death metal and other genres as well. But let's see, this week coming up, folks really enjoyed looking at albums I got rid of, which was funny because I've kept a list of things I culled out of my collection, and I just kind of ran through some of them a few weeks ago, and folks were like, that's really interesting to see all the stuff you ditched. So I think I'll revisit that and try to get a little further into the alphabet for Tuesday's video.
All right, and for us, check out last week's episode with David Gelke and Albert from Decibel. We talked about Born Human, David Gelke's book on Chuck Schuldiner from Death. Talked about Death, talked about the book. Definitely go check it out if you've missed it. A lot of fun, that discussion. Wednesday we had the album club. It was Gates of Ishtar. I can't remember the name of the album.
Oh, I should know the name of it. I can see the cover art.
Something Fire. I can't remember. Anyway, that was fun. And next Wednesday album club is Loss, Horizonless, some Funeral Doom, and we dropped today the Bellwitch Aerial Ruin. God, Bellwitch Aerial Ruin collaborative album that came out on Profound Lore. Logan reviewed it. That came up today. More reviews coming next week. I think we're getting in the swing again. I'm trying to get myself in the swing. So lots coming on. Heavy Metallurgy. We will be back, of course, next Friday. We don't have a guest yet, but we will get it figured out. Thank you, everybody in the chat. Dawn of Flames. I knew it was Flames something.
Yep. Had something to do with fire.
Utterly shocked how many people love that record.
It's got a following.
It's got a following. I never would have guessed it.
Yep.
None of the album club were followers, so even
the
guy,
there are a lot of folks that don't like it too.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a polarizing album. Some folks dig it, and others see it as like real second tier Gothenburg wannabe stuff. So, yep. Interesting split.
Thanks everybody for the super chats and for being here and contributing to the chat. We appreciate all of you, and we will see you next week. Go check out Darcy's channel, link in the description. Subscribe, please. He's kicking ass over there. Does a great job. Always good to see him. We will see you all next week. Cheers.
Thanks, everybody.
If you're in the U.S., go eat a bunch of turkey next week.
Hell yeah. Green bean casserole.